Before into the game we're talking about, and you're looking on screen, we're playing a Sega CD game tonight. I first want to go back a little bit in time, because about a year ago, almost, I was getting the idea of wanting to commiserate with people I know and people I don't feasibly, for some of the games I like or some of the games I don't like, through a stream concept. And a friend of mine was telling me that, hey, he streams games. And so it's for fun more than anything. And I figured, well, maybe I can do that, because I have equipment to do it. And tonight I'm going to be kind of paying back for that purpose, because actually my glorified moderator here, I guess if you want to put it, and someone who's been with me from the start with this, Protorova, he's been wanting me to play this game for a very long time. Sorry, I just have to, get my words out sometimes. But yeah, so I want to thank him, and also because he's been begging me to show off this game. I'm going to do it. We're going to be playing Pitfall: The Mayan Adventure, released in 1994 from Activision. We are playing it on the Sega CD. It was also on the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, and it later got ports to the 32X, the Atari Jaguar, and the PC, I believe, and also the Game Boy Advance, which I hear is horrible. But playing the Sega CD version, which is widely considered the best version of the game by the people who have played it. It is based mostly around the Genesis version, for the most part, but there are some extras, including its audio and a couple of extra levels. So, Protorova, if you're there, or when you get here, because I think you know I'm doing this game this week, I'm going to need you to be my eyes and ears to point out which levels you're not familiar with. But anyway, I'm in the Sega CD startup screen, because when I did test playthrough for this, I'm going to go for this briefly before I start playing. I've always had situations with disc read situations where I put a disc into my Sega CD, my Model 1 unit that I'm streaming from, and the disc not being recognized. And I figured, what can I do to fix that? And usually what I did with other games is I was just going into the main game and playing it. When I did test playthrough for this game a couple days ago, it played no problem. It instantly recognized the disc. And so I figured, all right, I want to show off some of the startup aspects of the Sega CD briefly, including if you go into option. Because the Sega CD, this will be a brief thing, has a built-in memory storage. There's also a memory cartridge, which it's stating is not present. That would go into the Genesis slot on the unit, because again, this is a connector to the Sega's Genesis in order to play it. So, and it'll save. You can have your saves erased, copied to the RAM card if you have it, or format the drive. This game doesn't have saves, so it's not really going to matter much. But I just want to briefly show you that because I'm in the main screen of it. And I guess these are the options for playing music CDs or CDs and graphics, CD plus G as it was. In fact, I have a couple for that. I don't know if I can show them off because there's licensed music to them, but maybe that's for another time. But if you go to CD-ROM, that plays the game. And it also, in the case of this game, I want to also show off the openings of it because they're FMV-based. These were definitely not in the Sega Genesis version. So let's get the show on the road. See the intro screen you see whenever you put in any Sega CD game. Yep, you get Sonic given the Sega sound, I guess, because they're different from the Sega Scream. And then we get into the game proper. And yeah, we have FMV cutscenes, which are grainy as hell, but this one, they do take up the whole screen. There are only 2 of them, though, so keep that in mind. It's this Activision logo, and this! So if you can tell what's going on, I'm not sure if you can, considering how blurry it is. We're in the jungle, because that's the perspective of the Pitfall franchise, which goes back to the days of the Atari 2600. And that Atari 2600 original is available in this game. You can actually unlock it or run into it in the game, and you can put a code on the main menu to play it. I think we're going to run into it mainly in the main game, the way I think I'm going to do this. But anyway, with those 2 CG cutscenes out of the way, or not CG, FMV cutscenes, we're getting the actual story of the game, which is we're in the jungle with Pitfall Harry Jr. And he's out there traveling with his father, Pitfall Harry. Hey, Protorova, I have your game here. We have Pitfall: The Mayan Adventure ready to go for the Sega CD. Good to see you tonight, and I hope you enjoy this playthrough of the game. And again, I'll need you to point out a few things, because there's some differences here from the Genesis version and the other versions of the game as well, including extra levels, which I realized when I was going through the test playthrough of it earlier this week. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into options. I think we can start on that. I just want to make sure. Difficulty, there's normal and hard. I'm going to stick on normal. Music, audio. Okay, here's the thing. This is on Sega CDs, so they give you options as far as, do you get some popcorn? Up to you. However you want to go about it. Again, you'll probably be my eyes and ears to a certain extent on this as far as some of the differences between this on the Genesis and the Sega CD, which is, this is the best version of the game I think you can get for reasons I'll go into later and reasons based around my research on this game, which I found some interesting things, mostly with the help of Digital Foundry, because they did a DF Retro episode on this, which was also worth your time. Now, they give you an option to listen to CD Redbook audio that's in this game, and they also give you an option to turn on and off the sound effects because you have atmosphere sound effects going on top of the normal game sound effects. We're going to play this with the music and the CD sound effects on. We're going to set the music volume down to 4 because one thing I noticed when I was doing test playthrough on this, the audio mixing is really weird in this game, even though it's on a CD, because what happened is they took some of the sound effects that were on the Sega Genesis version of this, because that's what this one's based on, and they mixed it with the Redbook audio with real instruments that they recorded, as well as the atmospheric sound effects that are in the background. And they didn't mix it properly as far as the fact that the music can kind of overshadow some of those things. So you'll actually hear some of the old Genesis sound effects in this, and it doesn't sound right. So I figured, based on how I was testing this, I think this is going to be the best way to go with music is 4, but you'll still hear all the music, and you'll hear it in CD quality, which is definitely different from what was on the Genesis. Okay, now controls, I'm changing this myself. The default options for this is using the B button to jump. Usually when I play on Sega Genesis, I don't like that, so we're going to change it to, yeah, shoot on A, B is the whip, and C is jump. And I'm also doing this for another reason because, and this is one of the other reasons that if you have a choice to get Pitfall, the Mayan adventure on anything, you want to get it on this, and you don't want to get it on the Sega Genesis, with all due respect, because there is a game-breaking bug in the Sega Genesis version based around the control options you select, specifically if you select anything other than the default setting, which is number 1. So I'm choosing number 3 so I can have the jump button on C and then shoot on A and then the whip on the B button. We're going to get into that, and I think with that, okay, before we start, we're going to go into the info screen, which gives a little bit of background on how this game works and some of the items you pick up. You have 3 weapons you can pick up for this: exploding stones, a boomerang, and sling stones. We're going to be using those sling stones a lot. Power-ups you can run into of lives, health, super strength, which is like Mario 3's, super invisibility aspect, a time stop, which stops all enemies on screen and makes you invincible for a brief time, and treasures. You want to collect all these treasures you run into because when you get them, if you get 50 points off of them, you get an extra continue, and you do not have unlimited continues. That being said, if I do get a game over and run out of continues at any time, I will put in the infinite continues code and use the stage select code to go back to where we were, but we'll see how this goes. I think I will be okay. Take a look at this. Guess I was lucky because I played with the default controls and never saw the crash. Now, I'm going to wait until we get to the level where that applies, but you will never see that crash if you're playing with the default controls on the Sega Genesis version. And I don't know if the other versions of the game, because this came out on other systems as well, if they ever had that. And I'd love, hopefully someone else in the chat, if you know, do the other non-Sega Genesis versions fix this problem? Okay, I didn't hit start right away, so we're going to be, all right, this is one other thing we're going to see. We're going to see load times in this game, which are not horrible, but they do kind of cut the pace a little bit compared to the Genesis version or even on the Super Nintendo. So, okay, we're going to skip this and go back to the main game. Despite what it looks like, I didn't actually start the game yet. And it brings back the story, so we're going to skip that, and we're going to get going with this game, which I have a couple of memories with myself, although admittingly I didn't grow up playing this. I played it years later, starting with the Genesis version, and then when I found the bug that the Genesis version had, I believe it was my girlfriend who bought me the Sega CD version because she was realizing that. She said, I want to get you something nice, and also I want to get you this version because I was able to find a copy of it for a decent price and in good condition. Okay, so here we are with Pitfall Harry Jr., who is a lot different than the old guy in green we saw on the Atari 2600. He's the son of Pitfall Harry. Also, yeah, we're going to talk about the animations as we go along, but basically we're running around the jungle. Press the B button, in this case, to whip. Knock down those bags, which are your ammo for your slingshots. Now, you can tap the start button to switch between your weapons. Hi, Electverse, how are you doing? Hope you're going to enjoy this Pitfall Mayan adventure goodness tonight, or we'll see how goodness it is for me. But anyway, so you press the start button, you can switch between 3 weapons. You have your sling stones for the bags, your boomerang, and your exploding stone. And one other thing to point out, I'm playing this on the Sega CD, and the Genesis version has this as well. There's support for the 6-button controller. I think it's one of the few games I have across all the Genesis units, or aspects of play with the Genesis, the 32X, Sega CD, Genesis itself, where it actually uses the other buttons for that. So if you tap X, Y, or Z, it'll use the other weapons. feeling a little nauseous, and I'm sorry. Hopefully you feel better and take care of yourself. That's definitely an important part of life and, you know, everything else. I appreciate you working through the pain. I do appreciate that very much. And, okay, that was a problem right there. If you walk into a sinkhole or the quicksand, you're gonna die. And I do like how the little touch there is he puts up, like, the thumbs up, like, in Terminator 2. But, and also when you do die, you, your weapons, or the weapon you have selected, I believe, is halved or cut down a little bit, so you have to be careful about that. I think your treasures go away. The memories. So you have memories of Pitfall, the Mayan Adventure as well, and if that's the case select version, what system are we talking about here that you played it on? Most people I know played it on the Genesis. I played it on the Genesis as well, and then I got the Sega CD edition, which is where we're going to hear all this nice music of CD quality. Super Nintendo. Okay, that's actually a great thing to see, because there is I was mentioning this before you jumped on, there is a bug in the Genesis version that they fixed in this one, and I'm curious if it happens in that version. We'll get to that when we get to that. I believe it's with the minecart level, where if you're running with the controls outside of the default controls, you're going to be, the game will be dead. He'll jump on and nothing will happen, and it's a dead game. You have to restart, and it's a horrible, horrible, horrible thing that I don't know how they missed that in testing. But the Sega CD version fixed that, and they added some extra stuff of a game that's got a little bit of a mixed legacy in some ways, but I do have a lot of respect for it, including what you're seeing right now, some of the animations in this. Now, a little backstory of this, and a lot of this is coming from Digital Foundry's channel, because they did a DF Retro episode on this, but also I did some individual research myself just to make sure that I knew what I was talking about. The animations of this game are heavily rotoscoped and kind of reflecting the idea of animated films, and from what I understand, Activision, when they were developing this, they were looking significantly at a lot of games at the time that were utilizing actual animation studios to get, you know, the animations of the games going, particularly when Shiny made their game based on Aladdin for the Sega Genesis. Do a backflip. Yes, let me show off that then. If you jump here and, remember how I do it. I think you have to, okay, that's a prone. I think if you run, it's if you run off the walls and I think you hit a button or, okay, tell me how that works, because honestly I don't remember off the top of my head, but with the animations of this game, Activision went to Kroyer Films, now defunct animation studio. They made, or the guy who started it, Bill Kroyer, he made an animated short subject that was nominated for an Oscar in 1988. It was called Technological Threat, which most people haven't heard of, but the thing that most people have heard of that they worked on, aside from this game, was Fern Gully, the Last Rainforest, basically the movie that was Avatar before Avatar came out, the 2009 film from James Cameron. Rotate the D-pad, not sure how to do this, I don't remember from... Oh, okay, so rotate it off of the wall. Okay, I'll see if I can do it. Unfortunately, I didn't know that. Oh, there we go, perfect, okay. So there we go, there's your backflip, and again, showing off the animations of this game, which are quite stunning, especially for when this came out in 1994. And again, across all of the systems, although more on the Sega systems, because I know on the Super Nintendo, I think they sped the animations up a little bit. Still looked really good, but there's definitely more going on with it, although you also run into a situation where, from what I've understood, the Super Nintendo version is sometimes thought to control a little better. By the way, I guess where we're at, we're in the jungle now, just kind of going around, collecting items. There's a life over there, which I'll see if I can get. Thankfully, when you crash into the tree like that and pull a George of the Jungle, you're not going to be hurt. But other stuff will hurt you, and that is one aspect of this game that is always a learning curve for me, being able to tell what can hurt you and what can't. And also paying attention to your life bar, which is unique for this game, because it's... Okay, I just got that heart, which increased my health, and it's the nice gator over there. Basically, the closer the gator gets to you, he'll open his mouth on you more, and eventually he chomps down, and you're done. That's how you get a lot of the items. Okay? Definitely so. And I'm going to be getting as many of the items as I can, particularly for the treasures, because I want to have as many continues for this, and also as many weapons as I can get. There's, whoa, yeah, you do have the voice acting here, which is definitely a lot clearer than it was on the Sega Genesis. Pretty impressive that it ran on the Genesis with the audio as it was, but still, that's the benefit of running this on the Sega CD, and the other aspects of it. Oh, okay, I didn't jump in time, but yes, they made Fern Gully, the Last Rainforest. They did the animation for that movie, and I don't know if you, chat, have any memories of that film. I remember seeing it once. I remember it kind of became something of a joke years later, I think, but I thought it was okay for the kind of thing it was. It definitely was an interesting case of Fox imitating Disney, and I guess Disney owns that movie's rights now, I think, because They own Fox. But anyway, we're going to go to our first boss. I'm also going to showcase one other thing off. Get ready. There's a load screen on this. So, yeah, we're going to have to wait till a load screen whenever there's a boss battle. That is one advantage that the other systems might have. And we're fighting the Jaguar here. Your mother's favorite, okay. So that's nice to hear about the fact that she got an interest in it. And there are some interesting things about that movie, particularly Tim Curry, I believe, who's voicing the main villain. And that song he does, that Toxic Love, which sounds like something like, was like the sweet transvestite out of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, if you're familiar with that. But anyway, I'm slinging the Jaguar, letting him hit me because he's not going to be too much trouble right now. Hexus, yes, that was the name of the villain from that film, so there you go. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so that's the first level done, and we are going to the next level, which is the Xibalba Falls. I don't know how the pronunciations on some of this is going to work, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah, loading. It's not too bad as far as the load times, but there are things you're not going to deal with when you're on the cartridge systems. But the other thing about this version is, unlike some of the other versions that came out, because it came out to the 32X and the Jaguar, and basically those improve the graphics, but they also cut the frame rate down, so it's not nearly as smooth and it doesn't play very well. And also, they're really expensive, those versions. Can't wait to tell my mom about this. Okay, so I guess we're going to have more fans going on to this, and I appreciate that, so thank you very much. And thank you very much for your patronage every week. And thank you, Proto-Rover, for this recommendation, because I know this is a game you adore, or you played a lot and remember. Alright, now I was being a little, presumptuous there, because the thing about this game with the animations in this game are terrific as far as how they are, but also it means there is a little bit of a delay. So I'm running to the left, you have to kind of move, okay, so we do a dash in the other direction, you kind of lose your controls a little bit. So you have to get used to that. It's not horrible, but it's something that there is a little bit of a learning curve, even for jumping. She loves Fern Gully. Okay, so there we go, and I guess it's probably not every day that you're running into streaming of video games like this, of this game, because I don't know how much of a fandom this game has anymore, or if it's just storied with or remembered, but also bringing Fern Gully up, which I guess next year is going to be the 30th anniversary of the film, so might pay for me to give it a look just because it's been so long. Again, it kind of fits with the milieu as well. Okay, so we're going through the waterfalls. By the way, when I just hit that tiki thing, if you are not aware of this game, or I guess a lot of people are, it's a checkpoint. It will point you in the right direction. One thing I noticed that's kind of weird, we'll see this at the end of this level, is that a lot of times they'll put them at the end of the stage, and I don't know why they do that necessarily, because you're just going to be going to the next stage anyway. But as I was mentioning, sometimes the things with the animations, you're kind of a little delayed. You also have to be on your game a little bit, because those platforms will fall. But usually you want to kill anything you can from a distance. Also, if you hold the A button down when you have the sling out, get a more powerful slingshot shot there. But I'm kind of running low on health. I'm already going, you forgot secrets. Yeah, I guess you're talking about the Pitfall letters, I'm going to assume. There are definitely going to be some secrets I'm going to find. As far as the Pitfall letters, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get them all. And the reason I'm going to saying that is because from what I understand, they don't do anything, except they give you, like, a take-a-picture thing. It's like a good job at the end of the game. So for the purpose of that, I'm going to probably not go for it. I mean, I'll hit the ones that I hit when I see them, but I don't know that. Okay. So, I mean, as I said, we'll see how that goes. Again, I think this should be okay as far as my ability playing it. I just want to make sure that, again, I'll be okay with it. So far, I've been doing okay with everything I've got. I also slide down there so I can get some extra health. My normal play would go through bottom of falls to start. Okay, so basically you would start on this stage, basically? Or is that one of the secrets? Because there are definitely some secrets I was finding as I was playing this game, and there is one secret I know at the end of the level, which you jump up here. Alright, we see the fact of how he's holding off. And also here the whoa, which is much clearer in this version. Okay, when you get the chili pepper, you get up here, you can jump higher, you can get an extra life. And we're going to want to grab as many of those as we can. Also, I want to try and jump down there because I want to... Okay, I guess I have a limitation on that. And this is what I'm talking about. Hit that tiki statue. It's at the end of the level, so it doesn't really make much of a difference. But that means we're going on to the next stage. But so far, I guess we're going okay. Next is the Tazamul Mines. And we got another loading screen, but again, nothing too long. I mean, I'm trying to think of really long loading on the system, but I'm not aware of that. There are jewels at the bottom of the falls when you start the level. Okay. Some. Alright, and there will be other jewels we'll get, and there definitely are some hidden secrets in this stage at the beginning, and I know one of them. Well, not that. That's a wall. Let me see one other thing. Right, the reason I'm throwing the boomerang is because, again, you hit the Y button or you press start to switch to it and then hit the A button to throw it. If you throw the boomerang, it'll come back to you as long as it doesn't touch anything. And then at that point, in fact, let me throw it again just to show this off. It'll hang in the sky, but you want to get it before it disappears, otherwise it's gone forever. Or if you hit an enemy like that, it just disappears as it is. And those are the exploding stones. We're going to use those later. I'm going to hold those for bosses in particular. Also, you got to be careful hitting that exploding barrel. Alright, down here are some secrets. There's also the rats here, which, if you walk over them, they will not hurt you. You'll just trip over them. But if you stop and get hit by them, they will hurt you. Alright, there's a diamond ring. I'm at 40 points right now, so if I get 10 more, I get to continue. And I believe you do start with a couple of continues, so we should be in good shape. I do like this track as far as particularly the way they enhanced this over the Sega Genesis audio, and I guess the Super Nintendo audio as well. Alright, so we're on a minecart, not the minecart I'm talking about where there's a glitch to it, but... Alright, so far we're doing okay just hitting the bats. Which really aren't the enemies that are the ones you really want to be worried about here, because they can get you into a blood-sucking section and you'll be in trouble, or you get yourself hurt. But so far, I'm doing good as far as deaths, except for falling into the pit at the beginning, and there's something behind there. Alright, that was, I think there was a gold bar. Also, there are regenerating bad guys in this game, so keep that in mind, too. Again, I got tons of ammo for my slingshot, so I should just be using that. Again, when they're holding up in the cave like that, I just hit them there and we all set. Now, alright, I want to see if I can make that jump to the ledge. Alright, I made that jump, which would be fine, and hit the spiders. Those will hurt you if you walk over them, but the rats, I'm just running over them, and he's kind of tripping, but if I stop and get hit, then I'm going to be in trouble. Also, one other thing I want to do is I want to make sure that... Oh, alright, I died by blowing that up, but I just got a checkpoint. Now, I want to hit that in particular because we're going to hit a bonus stage. Actually, let me get some distance here. Actually, let me also just throw out this. Let me hit the Z button. There, and everything dies on the screen. But I am going to switch back to the regular slingshot shots. Unfortunately, because I died, I lost them. I don't think you lose the other weapons. I think you lose the ammo for the weapon that you currently have equipped. But again, if I'm wrong, correct me on that. Alright, so here's a mini game. You have to watch the combination, press the buttons, and get items off of it. Usually a life at the end. Say A. B. Every so often you get that. A, B, C. This is good luck this time as far as the pattern. A, B, C, C. B, C, C, A. If you get it wrong, that thing up there will crush me. A, B, C, C, A, C, B. A, B, C, C, A, B, A. Okay, one more. Oh, there you go. There we got it. Okay. There we go. Got an extra life, which I'm going to be very happy to have later on. And God, I did practice this game. I did run through it. Actually, I did technically beat it, so I think we should be good for this, particularly the way I'm running it. And I guess while I'm running that, let me also grab this. That's the time stop. You get that. All of the enemies on the level will be frozen, and they will not hurt you when you touch them. So use that to your advantage. At least if I can. Oh. Okay, I think I can go down here, but I just need to hit that barrel from a distance. Alright, yeah, I can go down here and then grab on the rope. Just barely made that and just missed it. But again, I can go around again and be okay, but I just have to watch out for the spiders. Right, while I am making that trek backwards... Alright. I guess let's talk about the audio a little bit as far as the fact that we're running this on the Sega CD now. So we have the guitar riffs going on. It's Red Book audio, fully recorded, which was done by the people who were involved with this. Was a company called Sound Deluxe Design, which I think is now known as Pop Sound, I believe. They did a lot of work on certain games, and they worked on this and MechWarrior 3, which were from Activision. That was actually an interesting time for them because they were kind of restructuring as a company for the 16-bit era and the PC, which is where MechWarrior 3 was. And so they kind of went, like, we want high-quality audio stuff, so they went to this company. By the way, you have to toss the boomerang or use the exploding stone on the web in order to destroy it. And anyway, I guess Sound Deluxe, they did a lot of sound design for other games, like a lot of the Resident Evil games I know they worked with. I think they did stuff in the film industry, some of the elements that crossed over with the industry in gaming, like, you can whip them. Oh yeah, you're right, if you're from a far enough distance, you can hit them. I think you can't run into them is what it is. Yeah, but they worked on some other games that were kind of going to aspects of the industry. Ooh, and I just got hit, but you'll be okay again, because that will not kill you. There are other things that won't be as nice to that. I'll get to those later. Yeah, but they were doing other games like, The Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay, which is a game I want to show off badly. That game is fantastic. And Stranglehold, which is the game that was, I think, a sequel to, what was it, Hard Boiled, The Killer, one of the two, from John Woo. And actually had Chow Yun-Fat involved. That was for the 360 and the PS3. Didn't sell well, but it was actually a fun game, from what I played of it. But anyway, they kind of were going... I mean, when you think about it, Sound Deluxe was a company that was really pushing the idea of, I guess, the audio design of games, thinking that, you know, we can make games sound like movies and have this high-quality audio. And Pitfall was kind of one of the first games to kind of show that from that company. And they went on to other stuff later, including weird, like, off-kilter stuff like Killer 7 or Wampusel Tactics, which is a PlayStation 2 game from the people who made Disgaea, which I could get to at some point. And EverQuest 2, actually, when that came out in 2004. But okay, you have to hit the switch here, and you go down here in order to open that hatch. Now, what you have to watch out for that, because you have to watch out for the minecarts, because they will hit you and they will hurt you. So jump over them, and they'll get faster as you get closer. Just time your C button jumps or B button jumps or whatever button you use to jump. Okay, in my case, I won't be okay, but in normal circumstances, you should, as long as you're careful. But again, that's what gave me the most trouble when I was playing this game earlier this week for the purpose of test playthrough, because they're of the regenerating enemies, and also because of how you need to be specific on what you're doing. But again, that's where you also learn the idea of throwing slingshots in a straight line, but holding left or right while you're on the rope, or just hitting the button to go diagonally downwards. Actually, by doing this, going over here, there is an item, so I'm going to go get it. I think there's an item. Let's see. Or, I don't want to jump down there if I'm going to get myself killed. Okay, so there wasn't anything. Or if there was, I might have gotten it somewhere else. Okay, so let's keep going. Okay, no, that's another exploding stone, which I don't want to get, so I'm going to go this way. Actually, this is almost the end of the level anyway, so we should be good. I just have to avoid the minecarts a little better this time. Kind of get into a rhythm with this game, honestly. I think with the way the animations work and the way the controls are a little delayed on the back of that, you need to be set to that. Well, almost. Again, I'm going to get through this fine. Okay, now I am, anyway. Alright, so next up on the hit list is the Lost City of Copan. And again, as I mentioned, there are extra levels in this version of the game that were not in the other ones. I think there were also hidden levels specific as far as the 16-bit versions, and I think they then put them into every other release after those 16-bit versions. Now, over there, you probably saw up there, there is the old Scorpion from old Pitfall, and again, hold that thought, because we're going to be seeing old Pitfall eventually. Now, the other thing is hitting those tongues to bounce you upwards. You're going to be doing that a lot, and there's a couple levels that are where it's really specific with that, and you want to be careful. Also, that guy right up there, that idol on the wall that'll come to life, and you want to basically be close to him so that you avoid his axes, but not so close that you'll get yourself hit. Oh god, so you don't like... Okay, so this is a part that is bringing back memories. So, since I have a full chat of people, or the people I have in the chat, and I appreciate that, since you have memories with this game, one on Super Nintendo, one on Sega Genesis from what I'm gathering so far, regale me. What is your memories with this game and things that you either really like, really don't like, memories of being scared or worried about, I guess, aspects of this level. Yeah, in that case, I was just hitting those chests, or those little pots. Some of them have enemies in them, some of them have like hazards, and others have items, like the other one had health. I think I already lost the benefit of it. Also, I thought there was an enemy up there. I was going to see if I could snipe him with my slingshot, but again, because of regenerating bad guys in this, it's not going to help me too much. Actually, one other thing you can also do is press down, hit the C button, or jump button specifically. I think you do this in a roll when you're running as well. You'll go in a prone position, and you can crawl underneath the wall here. In this case, we got a heart. we got some ammo, and we have the diamond ring, which is the treasure that's worth the most. I believe it's worth 10. And every 50 of those gets you an extra continue, so you want to keep an eye on those. And right there, I want to see if I can get over to that. Okay, I don't think I can get over there from there. I do believe there is another way to get there. Actually, no, okay, now I remember, because I want to go down to get the 2600 Scorpion. So just jump over here to the left. Okay, I just made it through. I guess I fell through that. That looked weird, but okay. So go through the door. All right, there's the I. Actually, I missed the P on the last level. There was a hidden area I didn't go to. All right, I want to go into there, and actually, let's show that off then. So there's some treasure, and here we are in this section. Here's another mini game, and well, this isn't a mini game. This is another game. Consider the preview to when we do Activision Anthology, because this is Pitfall from the Atari 2600. So yeah, we have another game within this game. It's like video game Inception. All right, this came out on the Atari 2600 in 1982. It's a platform game that you got to be careful jumping through this. My first experience was my aunt, who had it at her house, played this all the time and could never beat this level until I became an adult, which is definitely an interesting case with that when you run into situations where something was giving you trouble when you were growing up, and then you come back to it and you have no problem. Now, as far as 82 Pitfall is concerned, this was kind of a flagship game for the Atari 2600 and for Activision, which, if you're not aware, they started out as a third-party company, probably one of the first third-party companies as far as console gaming was concerned, because it was David Crane and I think it was two other people who worked at Atari, and they wanted to have their name or have credits in a game, because back then there were not many credits going on in games. And the head of Atari, I believe it was Jack Tramiel at that time, he said, quote, "You are no more important to the process of the creation of this game than the people putting the cartridges together on the assembly line." So they didn't want to take that, and they said, okay, we're going to branch off. It was the first. I'm pretty sure. I mean, that's where I'm going. I'm just saying that because, again, I don't know if there was anything else. But again, they branched off. They made their own company, which was Activision, which is now a huge company. We talked about that a little bit last week when we talked about BlizzCon, because they own Blizzard now. And they own a bunch of other companies too. Anyway, so what happened was that on the Atari 2600, Atari did not have the rule that, say, Nintendo or Sega or a lot of companies or console manufacturers nowadays have, which is that anybody who wanted to make a game for the Atari 2600 could. There was no licensing cost to make a game for that. So Activision took advantage of that and said, we're going to make our own games for this. And out of that came games like River Raid, Kaboom, Ice Hockey, many great games, which we'll get to when we play the Activision Anthology, and I would love to play that at some point. For the time being, though, we're playing the original Pitfall, which is unlockable in this. All right, I got burned by the fire. But you get 3 lives, and if you get a game over in this case, you go back to the main game. You can also go downwards and go this way. So, as I said, this is going to be a preview sort of that as well. We're also going to the history of Activision. Actually, I don't want to go that way because of the Scorpion. But basically, again, Activision was a huge part of the 2600, and I'm died. And I'm not going to go back in only because I just wanted to show off what that was. And again, if you go back in, I think you just keep going and keep getting points. And I don't remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, chat, I don't know if it has much to do with the, I guess, how the game plays out or any secrets outside of the fact that you're playing that. But again, there were no licensing costs on the 2600, so anybody can make a game for it if they wanted to, which honestly ended up kind of hurting Atari in the long run, because what happened was that if you remember or have heard the stories about the great video game crash in 1983, there are a lot of unsold copies of games and cartridges that Atari had because they mass-produced, and then also because of a large amount of games and not much quality control to a certain extent, that the whole industry pretty much went belly under on the back of that until Nintendo really revived it with the NES, and that went into the purpose of the seal of quality, which admittingly was something of a draconian measure when you really think about it, because they were kind of controlling what games people could put out and when and how many. And I know Konami actually went around that by starting another company called Ultra, and then they're saying like, oh no, we're not Konami, we're putting it under the game, and Nintendo was like, sure, fine. But again, I guess the other benefit to them having that control is that there would be certain aspects that would not necessarily show up on the system, because the 2600, I may as well go into this now before we go about this, because you're seeing what's happening here. I'm jumping on the platforms as they're going around. You got to listen for the shifting of that in order to make that jump correctly. But on the 2600, okay, it went down, and may as well go up for that while I'm going out and trade these guys. But anyway, what was happening was, again, anybody can make a game on the 2600, which was great as far as getting stuff from Activision. 1, 2, 3, jump, and Dido. In this case, in this version, you have to listen to the audio a little more, so you hear that shh. That's when you know that you're good. But again, also keeping attention to the graphics. But on the 2600, again, it worked well for Activision not having to, have a permission from Atari to make a game for them, but it didn't work in the sense that there were a lot of more, let's say, untoward games that came out. I think particularly the games from Mystique, which is a Swedish company. They made a lot of pornographic games to the system, particularly Custer's Revenge and Burning Desire and Gigolo and Beat 'em and Eat 'em. You want to know about those? Go look those up. Those are really real games, and they're also really expensive. I guess because of that, but again, also the idea that that was adult-oriented gaming back in the day, and I mean, think about that happening. That would never happen today. Nobody would ever make a game like that or games like those today, or they would have to edit them down to meet an ESRB rating, and also because Nintendo and Microsoft and Sony and Sega, when they were doing console stuff, they wouldn't allow games with an adult-only rating to it. So that was that aspect. But as far as Pitfall is concerned, we don't have that issue. This game is rated teen, interestingly enough, and there's only one section in the game that really reflects that, and that's going to be late game. Outside of that, I never really understood, and even the box of it does not really give a whole lot of, when you pick up the game up and you see an ESRB rating on it, they'll give you a lot of descriptors of content it might include, like violence or blood or something like that. This game, I don't think, had any on the back of it, even though it was running a teen rating. But we'll see at the end of the game how that works. But in the meantime, again, pretty much wait there. Be careful. And also, again, jumping on the tongues, which the hit detection on that is a little wonky, so you want to try and stay in the center as much as you can. But again, also sometimes go off center because you want to go grab the diamond ring. Then you're taking down the slide for life and hitting into that. But we do have a time stop, so we can use that and just keep running. But also be careful of, the spikes. I heard that bubbling, I thought that there was going to be a tar pit. But so far, not yet. Wait, there's health down there. I could use that. Alright, so. Okay, so we're going into this Pitfall game, and I guess your memories of it. Again, mine pretty much was, I think I bought a lot of Sega Genesis games from GameStop, I think in 2001 about, and I bought this with it. And then I got the Sega CD version later. But I'm just doing this before we get to this boss, because we do have a boss here, and you can tell because of the loading. But I guess, what are your memories playing this game, and also what are your memories of other Pitfall games, whether it's the first one, whether it was the second one that was on the 2600 as well, or if it's like Beyond the Jungle, which came out later on the PlayStation, and then Lost Expedition, which is the most recent one. I think there is a Switch port of that coming out, if it's not already here. Okay, now these are dual Jaguars. The easy way to kill them is with the exploding stones. So at least you get multiple ones of them out of the way. And again, in my case, it's more of a war of attrition situation where I'm just doing that so again, I just barely survived that. And there's other bosses where I'm not going to be able to get away doing that. But for the time being, we are good. And we are done with the level. These jackasses are the problem. The Jaguars, oh yeah, no kidding. Again, because of the way the animations work, it's sometimes hard to read them because they do have a random pattern, usually. And then also because it's how many can you tank the hits if you're going to go about that way. And again, learning that read. It's funny, I can play a lot of the Mega Man games and get the reads down on some things, but this game, not always. That was a lot earlier than I remember. And again, that might be, and again, because again, this Sega CD version is different than the others in the sense that it has extra levels, or extra sections of levels, I think, too. So that might be what it is. Maybe the reason you're seeing, okay, I ran into the fire and died, and let me know if this is the case, because I'm pretty sure it is, because I didn't actually check this. I didn't actually check where the original levels are. I think there's 3 of them for this that were not in the Genesis version, and I don't think they were in the Super Nintendo version either. They were in the later releases, but they weren't in those. Let me know if you remember where they are. Or easier. Okay, I made it look easy only because I destroyed them with the exploding stones, but again, I also got lucky because I had enough health going in, and actually, weird enough, I haven't really used my boomerang that much, and the exploding stones not too much either. I mean, I'm out of them now, but I'll hold later. Alright, so now we are in the Copter Ruins, I think it said. Alright, so now bouncing off the sparrows. You want to hold left here a little bit or feather it so you can make this jump to get over here and hit that switch. Let's see what's in here, which I should remember because I played this game about 2 days ago for the purpose of... Oh yeah, you want to avoid that because they will suck your blood. Just to make sure that I'm going the right way. Okay, yeah, that's the one area, and there are the Mayan... I guess the temple guards, which, let's think about... I mean, I may as well put it that way. The Legend of the Hidden Temple perspective, which I guess is where my idea as far as Mayan aspects were in 1994, even before I played this game. And actually, that would have been an interesting case if they'd have made a video game based on that, but unfortunately they did not. I guess as far as Nickelodeon game shows are concerned, they only made a game based on Nickelodeon Guts for the Super Nintendo, and then the double of their game for the... It was on a couple things, but it was also on NES, and the NES version was developed by Rare, the same people who made Perfect Dark and Battletoads. And I own that game. We could do that, and I'd love to just showcase off that game, just because of, you know, my fandom of that, and also because it is a Rare game that most people are not aware is a Rare game. You can run into that on the NES in particular a lot, and even some Rare games on the Genesis, in the sense that they did the ported Battletoads over to the Genesis, the Game Gear as well. Again, I guess I'm going more in terms of Rare than I am in terms of Activision with this, although I guess it fits because 1994, we're talking the animations about it. Exploit the time stop and spam the bombs, which is a smart move. If you can do that, absolutely do that. But as I was saying with the animations, 1994 was kind of a banner year for that in video games, now that I really think about it, because... Okay, I want to grab that just for the purpose of getting health, and there's a platform there, so we're good. But 1994 did see a lot of pretty impressive games as far as their animation. Because there was this, for sure. There was Donkey Kong Country from Rare, which I played before for this. What else came out that year? There was Earthworm Jim, which is from Shiny, who also made the Aladdin game on the Genesis. There was The Lion King from Westwood Studios, the team who made Command & Conquer made that, and was also utilizing actual Disney animators just like Aladdin on the Genesis did. Again, Aladdin on the Super Nintendo was not Konami, it was Capcom. But that one didn't, but it still looked really nice as for the animation. They just had wicked graphics. Yes, they definitely did. And I guess visually speaking, this looks mostly the same again as the Genesis. The only thing I'm really noticing is that I think the colors are a little more distinct because the Sega CD does utilize more colors than the Genesis could. It has 256 color usage, whereas the Genesis, I think, had 64, I think. It was less than this. All right, let me try and hit this. I'll try to hit the whip. Oh, you're right. Okay, it eventually breaks. I think that's what I did. I was doing on the test playthrough. I was hitting them. It wasn't doing anything, but eventually it did. And actually, that kind of improves my standing a little bit of that, because at first I thought, oh, you need ammo for this, and if you run out, you're screwed, but apparently not. Instead, I want to use my ammo here so I can avoid potential traps and also see if there's any items or enemies underneath any of these things, which thankfully there aren't, except the first one. But yeah, I mean, and that's one thing I definitely was interested to see at the time, even growing up then, seeing that the push of technology and improving with it, and that was, think about that, that was about a year before the PlayStation and the Saturn came out, although in Japan they were probably already out by the... Oh, that's a tar pit, you want to avoid that, otherwise you die. But at that time they were out in Japan, but here we had a year to go, so it's interesting to see the perspective of how are they, you know, getting graphics going in games, particularly as far as, you know, sprite-based stuff. Or actually, another interesting comparison to this game in particular was Prince of Persia. Both the original one and all the console ports that were coming out at the time, including one on Sega CD. And then later with Sands of Time, which is getting a remake soon enough, although I think they delayed it recently again. Being hit, showing bones was a nice dark touch. And I guess that might also explain the teen rating a little bit, because this is a little more of a dark perspective. And again, it's kind of fitting for the purpose of Pitfall as a series, because up until this point, there were the ones on the 2600, and we saw the first one, so I have something to base that off of in explaining that. There was also Pitfall 2, and then there was Super Pitfall for the NES, which I hear is not a very good game. But in all those cases, it was kind of going a little more cartoony with it. But it was with this one, I mean, I'm saying there were influences from the Aladdin game and some other stuff with this game, but the obvious one, I guess we probably should have mentioned that, I should have mentioned that a lot earlier, was Indiana Jones. I'm pretty sure they looked at Indiana Jones and they said, I mean, even for Pitfall in general, they looked at Indiana Jones, but for this one, I think they were looking at that and thinking like, remember in the Temple of Doom, remember how you have the situation where people being lured down onto a metal cage and their hearts ripped out, put in the fire, like go to a darker perspective saying, hey, we can do that in a game. on top of the Indiana Jones games that were out at the time, particularly the one on the Super Nintendo, which I have. I do have that. I have it on the Wii Virtual Console. We can show that off at some point, but I'm going to want to practice that because that game is hard as nails. Super Pitfall, most known through AVGN, and I was just about to mention that in that case. That is how I know it in particular, and it goes to the idea of what are, again, the most seminal ways to be knowing of classic games, and the Angry Video Game Nerd, James Rolfe, being one of them. I know you had mentioned Clement64 at some point. I also watch the Some Call Me Johnny channel and the Super Gaming Brothers channel, which basically I think the Super Gaming Brothers channel ended, and part of that I think was because of some of the health conditions going on, but also because they were planning it anyway, because I believe one of them was Elliot, the youngest, was getting married. But it was interesting, like, seeing, like, the growth of all those years and them playing games. I don't think they ever got to this game, but it would have been an interesting one to hear them talk about it, because they always have, like, a little bit of a comedic flair, but also kind of a sort of informative flair. Yeah, I'm waiting for that to go down. That I always found very appealing. In some ways, it's kind of an inspiration for this, in the sense that it seemed very relaxed. It seemed very, you know, a kind of a fun time just to be discussing games and even, like, coming up with some weird stuff or weird things they saw. And in that way, I kind of see this as my homage to that, to an extent. I mean, mainly it's just me alone now, but also I have this with other friends as far as, you know, talking about games, and I'm playing stuff for them. I mean, tonight, but also just in general, to kind of be able to reflect that and have that communal experience, which is really what this segment is all about. I love Johnny. Okay, so you're familiar with, again, that channel, yeah. Juan Ortiz in particular, or some call him Johnny. I think a lot of people call him Johnny. So that perspective. And again, in that case, if that is a channel I would recommend for the purpose of that. And again, some of those other aspects. I think his last video was on Dragon Quest V. I always want to call it Dragon Warrior because I grew up with it. It's Dragon Warrior, knowing it as that. But, yeah, we can get to that franchise at some point, of which I only have the one on NES. But, again, that'll be also a situation as far as RPGs. Alright, so we're going through, and the bats are still getting in the way, but yeah, I'm definitely doing... Okay, be right back. Okay, take your time. Alright, so yeah, what you had to do there, just to give an idea, is I had to go and hit those switches in order to open switches, and I do love that touch as well. You're rolling through. Again, I think they had Indiana Jones on their mind, and again, why not? Because if you're going to go anything as far as, you know, ancient civilizations and going through them, that's the inspiration in particular. Well, that, as far as movies, but also after this, also that was probably where Tomb Raider came from. And then this franchise pulling from Tomb Raider a little bit with the Beyond the Jungle on the PlayStation, including the idea that they actually had Bruce Campbell from Evil Dead as the voice of Pitfall Harry in that game. Now, I'm stopping here for a reason because, yeah, I want to inch a little forward. That wheel, if you touch that, it is an insta-kill, and it is very precise to jump over that. There's also a life there. I don't think I can get over that. Also, I think I might have screwed myself up because I didn't know it screen locked. But I'm one hit away from death anyway, and there's a checkpoint back there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait till it rolls back. I'm going to run towards it and jump if I can get it. Okay, yeah, you have to be perfect for that. And I died, I think, about 10 times. You have to run back to get life. Okay, so you run back and you... I guess... I don't think you jump... You don't jump up, do you? Explain to me how that is. I'll try and just jump over it for the time being. Wait for that fire to get back. Run. And jump right. First thing you see. Okay, so there. Oh, I see. Oh, yeah, okay. I wanted to get out of the way, but I was staying in the doorway, but before so the level didn't end. But, alright, that ended up doing me in anyway. Yeah, again, that's a one-hit kill. It's a very precise jump. I'm going to assume that. Okay. Before I do that, then, I'm going to stand back. Run. Alright, there we go. I'm not going to chance that. I'm sorry. I'm going to skip the life. But okay, there you know it's there, and you also know, thanks to Protorova, and also thank you for the suggestion on this game, just in general, because I'm having fun with this so far. It's a very specific jump. We're at the Lacamul Rainforest next, and after we get a loading screen next, so that's also good for me, because I get to pull my water out and have a little bit of break as we go along. All right, now we are in the night, and actually, okay, I lied when I said I skipped this because normally the life is too risky. Okay, so I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I did look at this. I lied when I said that I don't remember the ordering of the levels compared to this on the other versions. I think this is appearing sooner. Also, by the way, you go down that, it's like the pipe in Mario Brothers or something like that, and jump up. I think this is appearing earlier than it did on the other versions. And I think then what happens is all the other ports that came out, because this came out The game itself originally came out in 1994 for Sega CD, Genesis, and Super Nintendo. It came out the year after for the 32X and the Jaguar and the PC, which the PC version, interestingly enough, I think was the first game, or it was the first game, or one of the first games, I think, that was specific for the Windows 95 platform, whereas everything else at the time was either dual for Windows 95 or 3.1. And I think the aspects of how they designed it, I think, led to the creation of DirectX, from what I understand. Again, I'm going back to Digital Foundry's retro episode on this, because they mentioned that. And I looked into that, and I also had that validated for other sources too. And that seemed like an interesting perspective, but those later versions, they did take from the extra stuff that was in this one, aside from the sound, because the sound was different as far as how the Jaguar and the 32X work, because those are cartridge systems. And then the other port we can talk about, and this also might be an idea for a future stream subject. It was on the Game Boy Advance, and it's apparently a really bad version, based on the Super Nintendo version, but it launched with the system in 2001, June 11, 2001. And I don't even think it had music on the Game Boy Advance, which was weird because there were a lot of other Super Nintendo ports at the launch. There was Earthworm Jim, which I also heard was terrible. Oh, okay, so I got it. Okay, that's my first game over, but we do have continues, so we should be good for the time being. Okay, we have 5, and it does hold your Pitfall letters if you've collected any when you get a game over. So thankfully you don't have to go back and get them. But as I was saying, the Game Boy Advance had a couple of Super Nintendo ports at the launch. There was Earthworm Jim, which I heard was terrible as well. There was Super Mario Brothers 2, particularly the Super Nintendo variants of that. And, well, there was also Choo Choo Rocket from the Dreamcast that was ported to the Game Boy Advance, which was really good. So then you think, like, well, it could handle a Dreamcast game to a certain extent. They downgraded a bit. And Rayman from the PlayStation was ported to the Game Boy Advance as well, so you think, well, it should be able to handle Pitfall and Earthworm Jim no problem, but it didn't. And so, to go back to what I was thinking about positing an idea for a future stream, would you want to see perhaps a night of bad ports to the Game Boy Advance? Because there are some great ports to Game Boy Advance, for sure. Okay, I missed that jump just by an inch. But I have a checkpoint literally right here, so I should be good. I can stand here safely and kill the Warthog. But would you want to see a night of bad Super Nintendo or 16-bit ports to the Game Boy Advance? Because again, I can show that off. I do have the Game Boy player for the GameCube, so we can play those. So would you necessarily want to see that? Although I will say this, I'll caveat this way. I will not do that until I show off the games in their original form. For example, I'm playing Pitfall tonight. I wouldn't be doing that, obviously. I mean, obviously, I would be doing that in the future anyways, for as an idea, but I'll have done Pitfall for Sega CD at that time. So, would that be something you want to see? I mean, I was thinking off the top of my head to do, or at least to have like a little sampler. Not necessarily play through the games exactly, but showcase what the differences are between the other ones, or what the good versions are, like this one, and even by comparison, the Genesis version, even with its glitch problems. I was thinking that. I was thinking the 2 Earthworm Jim games, which I heard were really bad, the way they ported those to this. And then also Sonic the Hedgehog, because we are going to do Sonic the Hedgehog, the original game, in June for the Super Sonic Game Saturday segment I have. But the Sonic the Hedgehog Genesis, which came out in 2006, I'll say this, give Pitfall this much credit on the Advance. At least it was a launch game. Sonic Genesis was released in 2006 after the DS had already come out. At that point, you think, well, the Game Boy Advance should be able to run Sonic the Hedgehog no problem. And it's an insane train wreck. It almost makes the Pitfall game from the Advance look like the Genesis version, honestly. And I played Sonic Genesis, so I know how horrible it is, but I was thinking like an idea of, again, those 2 Earthworm Jim games, Sonic Genesis, and this on Advance, because I don't think they're that expensive to find. So, again, let me know if that's something you'd be curious about, because also, I mentioned this before, I think it came up a couple weeks ago when I was doing Knuckles Chaotix. I kind of want to go back into the idea of, as I said, my friends and I, we have a segment of Bad Game Thursday. In fact, one of my coworkers who brought that up, he was saying to me the other day, he also watches this every so often when he can get to it, and I have a request of his with Katamari Damacy next month. He was saying to me, I'd love to have another another Bad Game Thursday situation going on, and we could turn it into a sucky game Saturday, shitty game Saturday. I don't know. We can alliterate it or not, but go into games that aren't so hot. And to be fair, I've done that before with some things. I did that with, what was it? Pac-Man 2. I did the Super Nintendo version, which is actually worse than the Genesis one. Actually, I want to go back here because I can get this life, and I think I can use it. But I was thinking that idea of doing games that either aren't very good, or there's also a debate as far as whether they're good or not. And also, I guess you could put this game in that category because I know this is a game that was not necessarily liked by everyone when it came out. I know when this came out, there were some people saying, "Oh, it's too floaty. Oh, it's too slippery. It's too unforgiving." But I don't think it's as bad as other people say it is. I think it's a pretty good game for the kind of thing it is. I mean, it is probably the best spin-off of Pitfall that I've played, or sequel to it, unless Lost Expedition's really good, because I've never played that one. But anyway, I was thinking, again, take a look at some other games that are, again, either not very good or debatable as to whether they're good or not. And again, we're going to do that when I get to doing Shadow the Hedgehog, which we will be doing sooner rather than later. I'll get into that eventually. But again, I've been thinking that idea, and again, commiserating over something that I was like, wow, this looks terrible. I mean, I can imagine, because I'm playing Pitfall tonight, I gotta be careful there because there are the gators, and these are really hard to avoid. I'm gonna say that. I don't know if there's a difference with how they're hard to avoid on the other systems, but here they definitely are. The momentum feel is solid. That's true, and I think what I was also saying is since we're doing this game now, if I was to ever do one of the bad ports of it, or the Game Boy Advance one anyway, because I'm not getting it on 32X. I heard it's very bad on 32X because of the frame rate, but it's also like $200 on the 32X, and I want to avoid that. And I'm getting really... Okay, I was going to say I was getting really lucky with that movement. You have to be very specific in order to get through those areas with the chomping alligators up there. Again, if you want to hit kill if you get bitten by them. But again, as I mentioned, the idea of, like, I guess, bad perspectives of these games, something like this as well, is like, yeah, we're seeing it on Sega CD, we're seeing it on Genesis. Like first mentioned, the Super Nintendo version playing that. And we must have liked this game enough if we're going to it and playing it, but thinking back to it, I was like, wow, look at what they've done to my beloved Pitfall Mayan adventure on Game Boy Advance. So some perspective, and again, I got hit by the same place. I think, okay, now correct me if I'm wrong on this. With those alligators there. Now this one you just have to jump on there and jump off before he goes under the water. But those ones on the rope there, on the rope bridge, I think you basically just have to keep going and you avoid it. Because that's what happened when I was doing the test playthrough, and it doesn't look like they're stopping in an interval. It seems like they're just following you. So I think you basically just have to keep going as soon as you can, or if you're on the ledge, or on the rope as it is, wait till they dive up and then just go as soon as they move. So I don't know, is that right? Am I understanding that correctly? You can jump from the top and slip most of it. Well, that is true, you're right. You can jump up here. Well, if I can do that. So I'll make sure also I can get a high enough jump, because sometimes you'll hit the ceiling, but this is not a case. So, okay, aim to the right, or skip. All right, you're right. Or go right into the mouth again, but point is solid, and I did try that, and I did have some success. And again, I'm running out of lives, so I gotta be careful as I go along, and also grab the ammo. Honestly, I'm using the slingshot, I guess the most of these, but also, in some cases, not using the slingshot really enough. Okay, let's see. Okay, you know what? I'm going to try this. Since that one seems like it's coming up in the same place, I'm going to basically land there and stop and then keep going after it pops up, unless it pops up right away. Honestly, this case is not really a thing with the controls as far as why that is. 100% top, maybe 80% top. Okay, let's try that then. Okay, so that's right there. That's a little lower. I do love that animation. We'll show this off. We does that spin down. That I love. And again, they went to an animation studio, again, that I think went defunct either right after or... I'm not sure because of this game, but they went under in 1994, the same year this game came out. So they didn't last long, but they definitely came up with some interesting stuff. But again, seeing those attentions to detail. Okay, so I'm going to jump from... Okay, that's the very top, down there. Okay, that should be about... Okay, yeah, because I tapped up once to go up, and you just went up a little bit, but you go down a little less. So, jump from here. Okay, there we go, that worked. Alright, good advice, and thank you very much for that. Actually, I do love that attention to detail, even though you can't hit the water without dying, but in that case, you're going to be fine. Also, you can kind of hang from there and just whip as you go along, and then throw the whip as you go that way. Kind of reminds me of actually what Earthworm Jim did the same year. At some point, I'll have to get to Earthworm Jim, of which we'll be playing the Genesis version of that. Or I might use the Genesis Mini to play that, because I do have it on the Genesis itself, but I do have that version as well, and I'd like to show it off. I wish I had the Sega CD version, but it costs a fortune. It costs like $300 for that. Okay, so there's the gator, and again, I'm standing here, again, partly to finish some of the thoughts I have, but also to keep the pattern down, or let him go. So basically, when he opens his mouth, he chomps, jump on him, and I don't think they will chomp up again as long as you're standing on them, unlike the Atari 2600 game, which we saw earlier, where they basically just go at an interval. So, let's see. And also, I don't think the turtles will fall into water either when you jump on the backs of them. Yeah, as long as you take it easy, I think you should be alright. Again, like the way the physics work. It's more of a learning curve than anything. I mean, because it also goes into what some people say. Some people say, like, well, should you have to adjust to control or physics problems in a game? And I think the answer is, to an extent, yes, to understand the way mechanics work, but then it also becomes an, how does it feel going through? I mean, playing this and going through it a little more, I feel like I'm getting better at it. And also when I did the test playthrough the other day, I feel like I'm doing a better job now than I did back then. And there are areas that I'm going to point that out for sure. Oh, not this one. This is the Palenque Ruins, I believe. I don't know if the pronunciations are correct, but again, my Mayan perspective is a little limited, but I do like to mail you. Actually, I think this level is not in the Genesis version, but correct me on, or the Super Nintendo version, but correct me if that's not right. I remember taking a long time playing this when I did the test playthrough the other day. Basically, what you have to do is you have to bounce up on the tongues, but you also have to pay attention to where the next one is. Like, there it is over there. Thankfully, you don't have a time limit in this game, which is wonderful for the purpose of this. You have to time it just right so that when you bounce on it, you basically are holding left as you go and also hitting the treasure. But if you fall, there is a safety, I guess I call it the slide for life. This does look familiar. Okay, so this... Okay, I'm going to assume then this is not in the Sega Genesis version, because I don't remember seeing it in the Genesis version either, and I did play a decent amount of it before I then got this one. Also, this part as well, because you have that guy there. Okay, so... Alright, so this is probably our first original level for this, or added level for this. So again, this is the more complete versions. Like, think of it basically as a director's cut of the Pitfall Mayan Adventure game. And go in the perspective that when... Okay, I didn't want to do that because I wanted to go get that health. Now, and it kind of goes to the perspective of when... Yes, edge guarding, yes. But thankfully you do have the tongue down there. Let me just scroll back down to show. Okay, you can see the eyes, so that's where it is. Just hit it that way, and again, just use that. And again, that whip comes in handy for that very reason. Yeah, as I was going to say, this, I think, with the idea of it having extra levels, is reflecting a perspective that I think a lot of game developers had when it came to developing or porting to the Sega CD, which is that they take games that were on other systems like this, like Mickey Mania, like, I don't know, Ecco the Dolphin got a Sega CD port, amongst other things, and the first idea was giving it CD audio and loading because it's a CD system, but then also giving extra content like levels. And because I know that we did Mickey Mania for this channel, and we used the Sega CD version, and it did give an extra level in particular. Same with this one, and yeah, same with actually, I think Ecco the Dolphin on Sega CD had it. I have it on Genesis, so I'm not aware of what that was like. But thankfully, he's not coming back, so we're good on that. Yeah, this took me a long time to play through when I was doing the test playthrough. It took me about I was gonna say half an hour, but I don't think it was that one. I think it was about 20 minutes, maybe. But again, because you have to be very specific with how your platforming is, and if you screw up, you're gonna fall down there, but you won't necessarily die right away. Platforming listening to sound cues does not work. Yeah, especially, yeah, like that, because, yeah, like that, you're hearing that shifting aspect of it. And I will say, I think from my memory of it on the Genesis, in some ways I think it's harder to do in this game, just, again, for that very reason, because it is playing the better audio, but it is a little more, and so you don't have as much time to count. You can kind of visualize it better, along with the audio being more are better syncopated on the cartridge versions. I'm going to assume the Super Nintendo version's like that as well. Hello, first, welcome back. As I was mentioning, we're on this level, which I think is exclusive to this version, or at least it was introduced in this version. It was put in the 32X and the Jaguar versions later, which I think based themselves off of this to a certain extent. From what I've heard from Protorova, this was not in the Genesis version. From my memory, I don't remember it from the Genesis version either. Do you remember this from the Super Nintendo version? Because I know that's the version you said you played. Also, I think the music's loading again. That's another thing about a lot of these CD games, which is that when the music stops, because it's running it off of the CD, they're not looping it exactly, so it just is going to play specifically. Again, it'll stop, and then there'll be a delay before it has to reload the audio, or reload the music. Try to listen to sound cues, and then would also be late. I think so. So, okay. I might have to look into this more as far as it, but... Because I know there are exclusive levels to this that weren't in the other two, although I don't know if there's differences between the level count on the Super Nintendo and the Genesis, so that might be another perspective. But from what I understand, remembering on Genesis, I don't remember seeing this when I went back to it a couple days ago. And I did do a test playthrough on this because I wanted to make sure that I was going to be in tip-top shape to play this. Although clearly I'm not showing it right now, but thankfully I don't have much far back I have to go if I miss a jump. But again, I knew I hadn't played this game in a while. I know that this is a game that I have experience with to an extent. Okay, I jumped too early there. But one that I can't necessarily pick it up after not playing it for a while like I did with Pokemon Snap last week and play it great, so I wanted to make sure I played it a little bit beforehand. Actually, I did beat it when I did the test playthrough because I want to make sure I was doing everything and understanding everything, because there was one boss in particular, the hardest in the game, which is not the last one, weirdly enough, that I want to make sure I was going to be set on. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I was listening to the sound cues, which again, I guess you kind of have to do in this version opposed to the other ones, or as opposed to the 16-bit editions, of which again, 32X was 32-bit, and Jaguar is 64-bit. That being said, I don't know if you should be expecting to see the Atari Jaguar anytime because I do not have one, and also, the really good games on it are... Oh no, I'm not going to make that. But, as I was saying, I think a lot of the games that are on the Jaguar that are supposed to be actually pretty good, and Tempest 2000. And Tempest 2000's on other systems. I think it's on the Saturn, I think it's on the PlayStation as well. So I would have to have a good... Oh, crap. Alright. I think I'd need to have another reason to invest in one of those just for the purpose of it. Although, if I could find one similarly affordably, maybe. But again, retro gaming, sometimes it's becoming more expensive as far as the systems, and the Jaguar did not sell particularly well. It also is debatable whether it was a 64-bit system, but that's another story. But point is, it also kind of ended up sort of killing Atari the way we knew them as console makers anyway. And actually, I think the Atari Jaguar units themselves, funny story to that, were repurposed. I think what happened is when the Atari Jaguar ended, the designs of the units, I think they had a lot they were going to be making because Atari has a history of, making more stock of something because they think it's going to go great, and it ends up not. Like, for example, E.T. on the 2600, which they made so many copies of, more than the amount of units of the consoles that existed. So then they buried them in an Alamogordo, New Mexico landfill. But for the Jaguar, what they did was they took the unsold units, and instead of putting in the circuitry into it for usage of it, they said, let's just give the plastic and sell it to, like, a lot of dentist offices. So you actually go in, like, the dentist offices, they'll use, like, you see the shape of what the Jaguar was as, like, what they use when they do an x-ray on your teeth. And which I think was kind of an interesting situation. Now I think about it, I haven't played this since I beat it the first time, which is probably a while ago. I don't know how recent you're talking, and let me get that checkpoint first. I'll go back down after, but I want to at least get that checkpoint, so if I fall and die, I can at least... Well, actually, no, it's not going to make a difference because I'm at 0 lives. Alright, I'm gonna jump down here one more time. And I'm gonna jump over here so I can... I missed it! How did I miss that? Like, I jumped on the, what is it? Not the zip line, the, hooks. Now, usually you're supposed to jump on those and you should be okay, but maybe I was too high. Right, I'll try a little lower this time, or... I missed it again! Okay, so I don't know how to hit that. 19 at the time, so probably 30 years ago, or 9 years ago, sorry. Alright, one thing I will do... Alright, so that's why you want to go over there and get it. And actually, for that reason, I think I'm going to be stubborn. I think I want to go get it. So if I die, I will not be tossed back to the beginning of this, because I do not want to go through the rest of this again if I can avoid it. Or, wait a minute, hang on. Oh, no. Oh, I jumped too early. Okay, let me take a look at where this is, because this will make sure if I can make that jump from... Okay, no, I can't. I'm going to have to go up over the hooks. Or try to get to the hooks, but I jumped on it and it didn't do anything. Maybe I do have to hit the top of it, so I'll go a little higher this time. I guess that's another thing as far as some aspects. Again, maybe this is an interesting point of discussion. When you're playing a game like this, in particular, the idea of, like, how stubborn do you usually get when it comes to wanting to grab everything or grab certain things? And I think it depends on the situation for me, but for something like this, it's also maybe that idea of, like, you don't want the game to beat you. You don't want to surrender to it, even if it's something simple as grabbing an extra life. And again, I jumped into that and didn't do anything, but I landed on the tongue, luckily, so... Alright, I'm going to skip the life. We're going to go back, because I think I'm near the end of the level anyway. I jumped there, and... Okay, there we go. The pattern's a little different there, so that made it a little... I had to adjust myself a little better on that. Okay, so there's the checkpoint, which I guess I didn't hit. Alright, can I... let's look back. Depends on the situation. Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably what it is. I mean, I think it also depends on how much you're getting into the game. Alright, now this is an interesting section. I thought this was interesting for the purpose of perspective, because honestly, a lot of the platforming in this game kind of is playing on perspective a little bit, because technically I'm going into the foreground and into the background, technically at the same time as I'm going up this spiral tower, technically. Just jumping back and forth. And on the test playthrough, I was kind of wanting to run through this as fast as I could, and I realized that was not a good idea. Whoa! Especially with the spikes coming out of the ground like that. Yeah, I thought I was going to get hit there for a second. Whoa! Alright, it slipped off. Again, that's also what can happen because of the way that the animations are, but again, it's not too bad. You're not slipping off badly in the way that... I'm trying to think of some really bad situations where you're slipping off platforms. Or it's not like I'm falling through a platform, let's put it that way. In fact, actually, I can't remember what it was. Actually, I think it was my girlfriend and I were playing Donkey Kong Country 2 a few weeks ago because she had not played it, or she hadn't grown up playing it, or played it to the extent that I had. I'm falling down here intentionally to get all that treasure. But I think there were times where it was like, hey, how great the collision detection is, but there's times I was realizing, like, hey, no, I'm missing enemy hits and falling through what looks like I shouldn't. I was like, wait a second, why did I never notice that? But for something like this, again, I think it's fine as far as, again, the fact that, again, you have that weightiness, but it also makes it so you have to kind of focus on it a little more. Again, it's like Prince of Persia, as I've mentioned that multiple times, because Prince of Persia also is a game where you have, you know, animation that is, well, in that case it's rotoscoped. I guess it's rotoscoped in this one, as far as how they get it into the game. But, again, because it's more realistic and it's taking into account things like, hey, I have to turn around, I can't instantly jump when I do that, that's something you need to get used to. You're not necessarily stopping and turning on a dime, but again, for the purpose of this and with the kind of game they're making and the atmosphere of it, it does make sense. And again, it's not as unforgiving as some things, even Prince of Persia, because Prince of Persia is a game that is extremely difficult with some of those aspects, not to mention the fact that you have a time limit. Actually, at that point, I think it was just better to fall down. Okay, you know what? I'm going to take a quick drink of my water first, just because I'm getting a little parched from talking so much. That's why you always have water on standby whenever it comes to this, so, I guess I'll sell out a little bit. This, like Let's Play is brought to you by Poland Spring Water. And, I guess, whatever else I have in the room here. Again, this isn't too hard as long as you take it easy, and again, just be careful as far as where the spikes are. And you can see the outlines on them, so you'll be able to know where they are, and just also listen for the audio a little bit. But again, you don't have to listen to the audio for it as specifically as the, the platforms that come out of the wall. But we're done with this level, thankfully. Tomb of Palenque, I believe. At least I think that is. K, yeah, I think Palenque, as far as like Mayan culturing, kind of goes that way, I think. Or it's like K, it's like what in Spanish. Alright, now this level introduces the mace spike balls. Now, what you want to do on these is you just have... They won't be an insta-kill, but they will hurt pretty badly, so what you need to do is just avoid them and just time your jump specifically. Some of them, they'll have a little bit of a delay before they come out from the wall again, but other times they will not. And also the crumbling platforms. Basically, you just have to hold right when you go off of the webs and jump pretty quickly afterwards to keep your forward momentum going. As one thing I guess I can say about this game with the way the physics and the animation work is that at the very least, it is a good game to be able to get that forward momentum going. So when you have that going, you can kind of just do stuff like that and not miss a beat. In that case, I can also get the diamond ring and get most likely enough to continue. Hold left there and jump, and hit the webs that way. Now that switch, we'll be able to get that later. That boomerang, though, we can get now by jumping on this and feathering right a little bit to jump up on the top. Because when you jump off of these, just to let you know, if you aren't aware of this, but again, most people watching this are, I'll run in the wall and fall back. But if we jump on the spider webs, you'll bounce off in a set direction unless you hold the D-pad specifically, either going in less of a direction if you're holding it in the opposite direction, or in the direction of where it is, or more if you're in the opposite direction. In that case, I got knocked by that, so I gotta be careful. That being said, I think I have about 5 continues, and we already got a game over. Okay, we got 1 game over, and we got another one. But I think we should be all right as far as this. And again, if I get a full game over and I'm not able to get any more continues, I'll use a code for that. I don't have shame as far as that, but so far I think I'm doing okay. Even though it's like, yeah, I'm dying, but I'm okay with that. And I guess I'll also go into the aspect of this, which is that I at least feel that, generally speaking, for this game so far, I do feel like the deaths that have been happening have been my own stupidity, as opposed to the fact that I've gotten screwed out. Even the some one-hit kill scenarios I've run into, but even then, it's like, yeah, the idea that, actually, that was like, what, 3 diamond rings? It was enough to get me, like, 20 points on the treasure meter. I think they're still ordering changes because sections of the level... Okay, yeah, and that is one thing I do remember hearing, because I was looking into that to try and figure out, for the purpose of the discussion tonight, what was going on with the level ordering, and I think they said, or what was going on with the way they changed levels, I think they said they changed certain parts of levels, and they changed the ordering up. And that part I do remember, because I do remember on the Sega Genesis version, the Runaway Minecart, which we're going to get... When I get to that, I have a story to tell on that. Story I kind of already mentioned, but we'll get into that again. When we get to that, on Genesis it came after one of the waterfall levels. I don't remember which one that's coming up. But in the case of this one, it comes somewhere a little different. I think they do change some aspects to it a little bit. So again, Pitfall, the director's cut, technically. Alright, so there is the switch, and by hitting that, I believe... Yeah, the door over to the left opens. I just have to be careful dropping down there. And feasibly, also, the other thing is about this is that you can also use up and down to look down and up, so I can at least get a sense of my surroundings. So it's not like you're going to be blindsided by the screen resolution. Although I have heard also the screen resolution is lesser on the Super Nintendo as it usually is, just because of the way the system's designed. But whether that ended in a situation where people were complaining about how the game played, I don't know. I don't remember hearing... I mean, if I talk about, like, a screen resolution situation on Super Nintendo, I don't tend to hear people complain about this game above others. Look through the walkthrough, it's the lagoon and the minecart, which I think... Okay, I think that was how it was on the Genesis. I think it's a little different on this one, if I remember correctly. Okay, yeah, that was bad. I was trying to jump on that one, but also jump on the left side of that platform up there so I wouldn't get hit by the other spike. Jump, there we go. Alright, at that point I had just enough space to not get hit by that. You know, it looks like Harry Jr. is just touching the spike balls, because I guess he is something of a badass. But I mean, I guess we saw that earlier when we did the backflip, so there's that perspective too. Alright. There's health, and there's a life over there as well. Let's hit that, see what's... Actually, you know what? Yeah, I haven't really used the arc shot when you're standing, because if you hold up on the D-pad, you can hit the slingshot a little up, although the other thing you can do is also say, screw that, and use the boomerang. Alright, I hit down with... Okay, that was more ammo. There's some... Okay, no, I have to go down here. Where are the platforming problems of the last level? Okay, so then... That probably was what it is. They probably added different sections to the stages, and I guess new stages in general. And I also don't remember, because I know on the Genesis there were like hidden levels as opposed to like bonus stages and things like that, because that was the same ones we saw so far for this, but also in the Genesis version. I crawled in that too early. But I think that's probably what it was. I don't know if they, but I also don't know if they took some of the extra levels or the hidden ones that the Genesis and perhaps the Super Nintendo had, and then I guess just put them in as normal levels to this. Maybe that's part of what that was. I guess it would make sense as far as that a little bit. Thankfully, there are a lot of health pickups here, so we should be in good shape. And also, again, we're kind of going in a, I guess, spiral here. Yeah, in that case, you have to be very specific and very precise when the spikes go down, or up, I should say, for the two. The one, no problem, but the two, not so much. Let's be careful of the bats going up. That is also another thing about that, is oftentimes you run into situations where there can be a lot of enemies around. You have to be careful. Don't remember the section. Yeah, I don't remember this from the Genesis version either, so this probably is one of the ones they added. But again, that's also why I'm doing this version, for the purpose of that, the purpose of going into the glitch situation I mentioned, and also because of the audio. Because it sounds good and looks good on Genesis, but there's also some extra stuff as far as Sega CD. Also, when people play this game, from what I understand, whether it's in a Let's Play or on a YouTube thing, or I guess it's been like games done quick on this game, I don't get the sense they do this version. They probably do, I would think probably they do the Genesis version, most likely. And I guess also how they consider that with loading for this one, if like, what's like a speedrun time for this game for the CD version, and I guess how they have to take the loading into account for that. I just made that. It's weird, I like the sound effects. I like the sound effects too. I like... Some of them are actually taken directly from the Genesis version, but they took them before they compressed them, as far as this... Oh, whoa, that was weird. I just fell onto my back in midair. But again, the benefit of doing this with stuff live. But anyway, I like the sound effects too, because they are the same on the Genesis for the most part, but they took them before they compressed them for the purpose of the cartridge space. So, with that, you hear them a little more smooth, or some, even like some of the ones like the when you click an item or pick up a treasure, it sounds a little more, it's richer. It's a little richer than it is on the Genesis, and on the Genesis, they're richer anyway, and even on the Super Nintendo, they sort of are too, although there are some differences with some of the audio for the two versions, from what I understand. Well, again, my experience is mostly with both the Sega versions or these two Sega versions. Not the 32X, because I haven't played that. But yeah, you go there and there's an extra life. I do like that. I always love that sound in particular. Again, that was in the Genesis version too, but again, it sounds richer and deeper running off of a CD system like this. And it's also just when the idea is, like, for a cartridge game, usually they'll have to compress it for the purpose of putting it into a cartridge. But it's also an interesting situation for that, because I know I'd heard recently some other things, I think was going online for things, and like remixes of stuff for Donkey Kong Country, and even like some of the music where they took the instrumentation that they took on the Genesis and basically uncompressed it. And then they did that with Super Mario World as well, and it sounded terrific. Okay, yeah, this is different because there's a lagoon and then the mine car. The mine car is here now. Let's talk about this. Hold me, oh my mind, less smooth. I don't either, but it's also worth pointing out that when we're running on the Sega CD, the idea they're doing CD audio. So, pointing out difference. Okay, when I jumped on that cart there, if I was playing the Sega Genesis version and I'm using the controls that are not the default controls, he'll jump on that, the cart will not start moving, and it's a dead game. Yeah, they fixed that, thank God, for this version, which is also part of the reason I got it, or fine, my girlfriend got it for me, and my thought was like, first thing I checked was, can I avoid that? Thankfully not. I don't know, like, first you played this on Super Nintendo, do you remember, well, A, did the Super Nintendo version even have control option select, and B, did it have a situation where if you didn't have the default control method, that the game would, not work? Yeah, I remember this is level 2, though. I will bring that up because I was doing the test playthrough. It took me 20 attempts to get this. Hardest level in the game, changed my mind. The only level I would say that's harder than this is probably the third to last one. Okay, that's what happens if you miss the cart, by the way. Or hit that, because there's the lights that are on the left of the screen. When they go red, that means a cart is coming up, and if you hit in that, it's instant death. The only reason I'd say the third to last level is harder is because of the boss there, but this, honestly, it's between that level and this one that gave me the most trouble in the test playthrough, because 20 attempts it took on this. That being said, there is enough treasure here that as you keep getting treasure, you can feasibly get continues left and right. Also, you want to avoid the ghosts there, because if they touch you, you'll be stunned for a little bit, and you can't change tracks. Again, as it gets faster, that's where it gets a little harder. I think it does. Don't think I ran into a problem. It always works fine. Okay, so it's specifically for the Genesis version. Because I remember I've been asking people for years about this game. Retro, outfits, outlets, things like that. Okay, that was stupid of me jumping about that. I think I had the pattern memorized. I thought I had it memorized. See, it's funny. The first run I did this when I was doing a test on this the other day, I almost got to the end of it my first try. I was thinking, wait a minute. Then I hit something. And then it was 20 attempts later. I think, well, that's what it really is. It's about pattern memorization and also about, being able to react quickly. And feasibly, you can jump over the minecarts, usually if you're on the top, but it's not recommended. But again, it's like the idea of like a trial and error thing, but I do like the idea of just the speed it's getting going. And again, hearing that, great music going, particularly like the guitar riff of that, which I really like here. In some cases, I find the easiest way is just kind of stay in one place and then just wait till the light goes off. But again, that becomes less feasible as you go along. But again, you keep getting treasure so you can feasibly rack up a bunch of continues here. Oh, that was close. Okay, I did get a continue, so we're good that way. Yeah, just keeping an eye on those lights over there. By the way, when they turn red, that means the cart's coming. I didn't mention that already. Okay, yeah, okay, now I remember that part. I think we're almost there. Oh, no! Oh, that was close. I think I'm almost there. Okay, there we go. There we got it. Okay, yeah. Very intense. There's a life in the end. Yeah, you have to stay in the center for that. And that's also where the exit is. Just stay in the center. We got it. Okay, 4 times. Not bad. There's a big improvement over the last one. This level made me waste 2 continues. I believe that. In fact, let me catch up on chat then on that. There's a life at the end, which we got. It made me waste 2 continues. It did here. We're at the Gina Island, or Gina Falls, yeah. And then intense. It was definitely intense there for sure. I was like, I almost had it. There were a couple times I thought I was going to hit into something. In fact, I'll say this. I'm going to look forward to looking back on the raw footage on this when I'm done recording. I've actually been doing that a little bit more. Not necessarily because I'm vain, because I'm usually not, and I'm also usually not one to, like, listen to my own voice, but I need to get used to that for the purpose of this, and also if I'm going to be putting any of these things onto YouTube as far as, record keeping of these, which I guess reminds me of one thing that's, like, I've realized with a lot of the footage I've done, whenever I'm done and I do my sign-off, and I hit the, stop streaming button, okay, I just died and fell in the water, but whenever I've done that, I've done it too early, so I was like, because there's a delay, I've mentioned this before, there's a delay when I'm talking now and when you hear it. And with that, it means that basically I got to the end of the thing, thank you for watching, we'll be doing this next week, and in the middle of the sentence, the video feed will stop, and it was my own fault. So I need to figure out what I'm going to do about that, particularly for, again, the purpose of putting this elsewhere for recording, particularly for Metal Gear Solid when we go back to that next week, and for the parts. And I guess also for when, as far as like the sound of my voice, as far as the way the microphone's picking it up, I should say. Alright, back with these guys. I'm taking time to just pay attention to their pattern, get them out of the way so I can just hopefully not have the situation I had before. And yeah, it looked like I just got beaten there, didn't it? But I thankfully did not. This is where the game is definitely getting more intense. Let me just see how many of those exploding shots I have. Okay, can I hit the... I want to see if I can hit the monkey from here when he gets closer. You can aim these upwards, by the way, when you're doing this, and when you hit bosses with this thing, it is more powerful, but in a lot of ways, it's not going to really make too much of a difference because... Okay, I just hit him there. In terms of bosses, you're usually not able to be standing still, and you do have to throw one of these first before you can charge up. You can't just... Okay, so if I throw this, I'll just to deal with this. I'm holding the A button down, I'm switching weapons. I'm still holding the A button down for the shooting of the sling. It's not doing anything, so I have to throw one first. You basically have to use one before you can even, you know, do the charge up like that. Which, again, I don't know if that's the case with the other versions or not. I think maybe on the Super Nintendo it wouldn't be because you have extra buttons, but I'm not sure if that's the case. Like, for instance, you're the Super Nintendo version expert of the three of us, or of other people in the chat, specifically, let me know if that's different or not the case. Feasibly, any other differences between the Super Nintendo and this version, and feasibly the Genesis version that you may be aware of. I guess feasibly this one, because I guess this is the one you're looking at right now. Alright, there's an exploding thing, and those birds, by the way, they will come back, so oftentimes killing them is not necessarily worth time that much, but just to get them out of the way, sometimes it's just better to just do that. And then also, again, snipe the monkey just from the edge of the screen. And the dragonflies, which, oh, honestly, they're giving me less trouble now than they did when I was doing the test playthrough. Also, making these jumps correctly, or those crumbling platforms. Alright, there's a diamond ring down there. I don't think... Oh, actually, no, I'm bouncing anyway, so let me see. Alright, you know what? I want to get the life more than I want to get the diamond. But in order to get the life, actually, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to... Yeah, there we go. Jump up there, and get the extra exploding item. Okay, now to get the life here, I think I jump off that and hold left. Or, okay, I was too late. Okay. Yeah, I do like that. Whoa! Which, again, that does kind of feel fitting for the purpose of me missing this. And again, it's a little clearer here than it was on the Genesis because of the CD aspect of the audio. Okay, yeah, you have to be very specific in order to get that. So I'm going to try again. I did get this when I was doing the test playthrough, so I should be okay if I just... Whoa! I can get myself there. Whoa! Okay, yeah, I think you have to jump right when you hit the lip there. Or jump down. Actually, you know what? That's the other thing to do. Jump down, off the slide for life. Or, okay, yeah, jump on that platform and then jump over here. There we go. Yeah, I forgot that platform was there. There we go, go down the slide for life, which I always associate with, again, I mentioned the Nickelodeon game show stuff as far as Nickelodeon Guts was concerned. I associate it kind of with that from Basic Training, which there was a Super Nintendo version of that, which I could play. I have played it, and I don't remember it being great exactly, but I also do remember it being there. It would be a point of discussion. All right, I want to try and get that chili pepper because I can just jump up and get the higher jump and sort of get it. Oh, well, I fell way further. Well, but again, maybe that'll help for the purpose of jumping up to that. At least while it's running. Okay, so I won't have to repeat as much of the level doing that. So, in that case, it was beneficial that I went back and got it, but not for the reason that I expected to. Also, yeah, I just missed the bird there. Honestly, this shouldn't be too bad to be able to make this trek again. To be fair, when you fall down like that, as long as you're not, you know, hitting a pit or something, or the water, it doesn't take too much time to get back to where you were, as long as you are careful. But again, maybe this is also my perspective, like playing all those Sonic the Hedgehog games growing up, is that you want to have that forward momentum going. You don't want to you don't want it to stop. But again, sometimes you have to. Also, because I used the chili pepper at the wrong time, I'm not getting that exploding stone, but I think it should be okay. And there's a life up there that I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get that either. But you said there is a checkpoint there, so I can take that and hit the monkey. Alright, and I have to jump right there in order to get... Oh, right. Yeah, right. This is the other part. The moss on the platform there. So you have to jump specifically where it's showing there and jump from there over to that platform. It is a very tight jump to make. Okay, because you can't... okay, the other way you can do that specifically is, again, jumping in from there. You have to basically, again, keep the forward momentum going, run, jump, and as soon as you hit that jump again, like that. There we go, like that. And same here, sort of, where you basically stand in the middle, and again, don't turn around or slip off. Whoa! So again, it's one of those things I'm saying, yeah, the forward momentum, you want to keep that going, and like sometimes you can't, but in this case, you kind of have to. Or the other way you can do is, alright, yeah, I thought that if I could jump, or if I jumped, I'd change my direction in midair, and I won't slip, but apparently it didn't work. Alright, yeah, I just make that if I don't run, but I think it's easier just to run, so let's do that again. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to do... Okay, I just missed that one more time, but I was going to jump in the middle and then just go right specifically. Yeah, so just jump right like that. There we go. Oh, okay. Hang on. Oh, right, because of... Oh, I guess because there's a... I was going to say, yeah, I think there was a web there. Not a strong memory of this level either, so looked it up, and 17-minute speedrun of the game. Yes, of this version, or of any version, or of one of the other versions. Because I know in the speedrunning community there is a preference always when there's multiple versions of the game. We're at the Tikal Ruins, by the way. And I think we're actually pretty close near the end, if I remember correctly. Yeah, actually, no. I think we only have about, after this, 2 levels to go. But I was saying, I know in speedrun stuff, there's a preference of version of games. Sometimes whether it's a regional version, like a Japanese version, or another version, or a US version. It says the Genesis then, okay. And then also, again, how they categorize that for, I guess, what version of the game is being played. Yeah, I think the only aspect I would say to this one, again, the level differences or the ordering differences, and then also the loading. Although whether they take the loading into account or not for that, I don't know. Alright, I'm trying to get close enough to them so I can hit them without him throwing the bones at me. Yeah, it doesn't matter with him, so we're good there. Alright, let me just see. I want to make sure I have as many of these things as I can find. There are a lot of them on this level. A lot of areas where I can find things, and also a lot of lives, which I'm going to want to pick up every one of them. Alright, that's a door. I can't go into that one. Also, that's sort of quicksand, but I don't die if I fall into it. Yeah, there's a life there. I'm going after every single life on this level. I'm going to tell you why. Because of the boss here. And I think this is probably the hardest part, well, one of the hardest parts of the game outside of the runaway minecart. It's also the hardest boss in the game, I would say, even harder than the last one, which is surprising to me. There's the sling there. At least I got a lot of sling ammo. Alright, actually, I guess I didn't mention this, which again, with the snakes, you have to hit them when they're on the ropes in order to make them into ropes you can climb on. And also, be very specific jumping on that tongue, because I fall into the tar pit and died a lot when I was doing the test playthrough on this. So again, the collision detection is very specific, so you have to know it in order to be successful at this. Again, that's running on the basis of this version, but again, I don't know completely what the differences are. But as I said, I might come back to this game for the purpose of one thing I'm thinking, which, as I mentioned, I don't know if you were here like first when I mentioned it, so I'll reiterate it one more time. Okay, then die, but after that, the other thing I was thinking was... Okay, I'm gonna hit that because I know there's an item in that, and the other ones have hazards. But basically, doing a night of bad 16-bit ports to the Game Boy Advance, because I mentioned the Game Boy Advance port of this, which I've seen, looks atrocious. There's the Earthworm Jim ports were on the Advance as well that were really supposed to be bad. And then Sonic the Hedgehog Genesis, which... That's a sight to behold. We need to see that. I need to, unfortunately, buy a copy of that, but... Yeah, that is one of those you're not going to believe how much they messed that up. Particularly for the fact that it came out in 2006, or at least the Pitfall port came out at the launch of the system. But I was thinking of doing like a night of those, because I have the Game Boy player for the GameCube I can play them on, and also the Game Boy player lets you switch between cartridges without, breaking the feed as far as the stream is concerned. So I was thinking perhaps collect a bunch of those after I do every game that I would do, which would probably be the 2 Earthworm Jims, this, and Sonic the Hedgehog. And then after I do the actual good versions of those games, at some point later down the road, just come back, say like, hey, here are the advanced versions, here's how they screwed them up, and also maybe as a bonus throw in one advanced port from a 16-bit console that actually did it right and made it realize, well, you know, they could have totally done that right, but they did not. But again, that's just some other ideas I'm getting as far as other things I want to do on top of the other games I have on the docket. Which, to quickly go over that, because again, we're basically just going through the ruins again for the most part, although one thing to point out before I do that is hit this, and then it opens that door, but before we go there, I'm going to get the other items on the left. But what I was going to say is, yeah, what I have on the docket as far as the rest of the next month or so... Actually, yeah, okay, I'm hitting there, that's fine for now. I'm thinking of going to get the boomerang, but I don't need to go get it yet. I just want to get the exploding stone. But yeah, next week we're going back to Metal Gear Solid. We're finishing it. I have Disc 2, it's all ready to go, and we are going to be finishing Metal Gear Solid next week. And then afterwards, the week after that, we're doing the third entry of Supersonic Game Saturday. I'm surprised how quickly this year's going already. We're at the third one of those. And we're doing 3 games, fittingly, and like this is your request, so it was Sonic the Fighters and Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. So we're going to be doing both, between all 3 of those. Mostly with Genesis on Mean Bean Machine. We'll look at the Game Gear version briefly at the end of it, but that's how that's going to go. And then... Okay, so you're excited on Metal Gear Solid for sure, and then your pick as well the week after that. After that, I have Slam City with Scottie Pippen. We'll go into that, like, bad game Thursday perspective with that, because that's an experience. And again, we'll be pulling the Sega CD out for that again, or the 32X CD anyway, as it is. And then we're going to do Edwalk, actually, who's someone I work with. He requested Katamari Damacy, so we're doing the re-roll version for Xbox One. And then in April, we're doing Star Fox 64. And then another Supersonic Game Saturday, which I'll reveal when we do the next one, or the one we're doing next in 2 weeks. Oh, actually, okay, I was overthinking this a little because I wanted to get that, but I also wanted to go back a little bit before I... Actually, do I want to... Okay, this was something it took me a lot of time to figure that when I was going through. Right, I want to crawl under here because I want to get the item, or to get the bag of stones. Back up a little bit. Yeah, because I want to have everything I can for this. Yeah, and this is definitely a more hairy situation right here because I'm doing this over a bottomless pit. Alright, so there's the checkpoint, but I do want to go back and grab the life that's up here. Yeah, at least I missed the spikes that time. Often on the test playthrough, I fell down right on them, but again, it doesn't kill you instantly, but it does hurt. There you go. Yeah, it is a little weird going on the audio cue, but again, I'm one of those people who plays a lot of rhythm games in particular, a lot of music games, and there is one I want to play that I can get away with playing, which is going to be Mad Maestro for the PlayStation 2 at some point, but... Oh, I opened that. I didn't notice that. I not opened that up in the test playthroughs. This is going to be a little different. I don't think I've seen this part, so let's see what we got in the section here. But because I played a lot of rhythm games, as I was mentioning, eventually when you get into that, I guess that zone for that, it kind of works even for a game like this. Okay, let's try again on one of these. Give me an easy one so far. Let's see. Why did you maybe pull my retro duo, which plays NES and Super Nintendo games? Okay. Glad I was able to inspire that. Thank you very much again for that and for your... Okay, I did that wrong. I do love that touch, though, that they play the death sound from Pitfall 2600 for that. And again, it was worth it to be able to go back and say, like, yeah, this playthrough has been inspiring you to pull the original game out again. I mean, if nothing else, I guess that's maybe an idea as far as, getting people's interest in this. It's like, yeah, going back to retro gaming, not just retro gaming. It's not just, oh, I'm not going to play anything that's not retro. But just, again, pointing out some of the experiences that I and you and anybody else watching has had and going about that way. Okay, now, yeah, I'm a little nervous on this. This is the, okay, 15 of these. I'm going to see how this turns out. I think I have full health or close enough to it. Alright, I'm going to start with the normal sling because we got a boss here. This is the hardest boss in the game as far as I'm aware, and this is the one part that I think maybe rivals the runaway rail card. Okay, we got the Panther again, or the Jaguar again, but there's something very different about this guy, and we'll see in just a second. Yeah, it's the Panther King, not like the Panther King from Conker's Bad Fur Day, but I guess like that one, he wasn't mutilated. Use these as quickly as you can, or, okay, I was against the wall, so that's not going to help me much. And also, potentially the one reason this game has a teen rating, right there, you get sliced into pieces. So I'm going to play this when you're done. Okay, I take that as a very big compliment, and I'm glad I was able to inspire you to do that, and that you're finding this interesting enough to do that. So again, thank you very much. Yeah, this is a ridiculously hard boss. And again, you have to pretty much have as many of those exploding items as you can get. And one other thing I should also do is, I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but most of the times lives do not respawn when you die. Usually. Certain items don't respawn. Like, for example, that diamond ring I got's not there anymore. Same with this one right there. No, thank you. Okay, appreciate that. And again, I appreciate your viewership. I appreciate your requests and all of that. So again, thank you very much. It's been my pleasure. Need to time the jumps. Indeed. Now, the thing is, again, I'm going down here because a lot of the items will not respawn when you die. Only certain items will respawn, at least like the treasures and the lives. There is one life that does respawn, because what happens is that the pot that it's in respawns, which is right here. Whoa! Every time I die, I'm going to come back and get that, and also I have another one of those exploding stones, so I get more ammo for that. And again, because I believe, again, correct me if I'm wrong on this, in my experience, if you die, as long you lose the ammo for the weapon that you currently have selected, I think. So, like, your sling bag will go down to 20 from 50 if I die holding that. I think then the other ones will get cut down to what their default was. Okay, that was close. But again, if I can do that, and before I die, just switch my weapon, because I mentioned before, I said there's a 6-button option for this, or it uses the 6 buttons to instantly use the weapons you want to use, but it doesn't actually change it. So feasibly, you're still going to be using the start button to hit it, or holding start to pause. By the way, just to show you. And I think on the Super Nintendo it's a little different. Watched around this a few weeks ago, and they had the attacks timing memorized. That is the key, and I'm not good at getting the timing down on these. We're going to see how this goes, and again, that timing, or doing that at least, so that's putting me in a better spot. Basically, I can probably War of Attrition it right now. Just keep hitting that. You hear me hitting that? Oh, crap. Yeah, when you get to that, you've already died, but they give you some cinematic flair with basically putting you in a stunned state, and you can't do anything, and, you know, you're screwed to that. Actually, weird story on the test playthrough, I'm going to explain this. If you've played games on certain systems, they give you an option usually to press a lot of the buttons. Okay, pause there for no reason, but they give you an option to press a lot of the face buttons in order to do an instant reset or a soft reset of the game. This game, there's no boss meter in the Super Nintendo version. Really? Okay, I did not know that. That is interesting. So they don't tell you how much more you have to go on the boss in that version. Okay, that is unique. I did not know that. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. Okay, that was my fault, but at least I got the life. So point is that we're not getting a game over on this at any time, so we're not going to have an issue as far as my continues are concerned. But I still at least want to, you know, be careful in that and just keep going back and getting that life, because that pot will respawn, the life will respawn as well. It doesn't. It's odd. Yeah, I don't understand what that's about then in that case, but again, I'd assume you're thinking that's an upgrade as far as this, and the Genesis version does that as well. I don't know if the 32X and the Jaguar and the PC do it, though. But basically what I was saying is that, again, that life will keep coming back even as it dies. So we're not going to be getting the game over. But, yeah, I'm trying to think of where I was at. Yeah, I guess getting the patterns, but also the cinematic flair of how I'm dying against him. And I think this is the only boss in the game to do that. It's kind of like a game I did earlier this year. I did Mega Man X2, and in that game, if you use the special weapon on Wire Sponge to kill him, he gets dismembered. So, and that was, actually, that did come out in '94 in Japan, so technically I guess 1994 was the year of platform games where you could dismember the opponent, or they could dismember you in case this. And I think this is the only reason this has a teen rating, from what I gathered. Although I think when they ported it to Game Boy Advance, it did not have a teen rating, which is surprising. Alright, let's try this again. Alright, saying about the soft reset. I'll say this if I die again, but or if I beat him. So we'll see about this. Let me start with the slings this time, or the boomerang, I guess, because I had it selected. Okay, I didn't mean to pause. Yeah, because, again, he transforms, and then he'll either do a dive, or sometimes he won't do the dive. He'll sometimes do something a little different, or he'll just do the slice. And I don't know if that's proximity-based or not. Actually, I don't think I'm going to get through this, so... Okay, I think if you're far enough away... Actually, still in that case, he's still doing it, even though my life wasn't down to nothing. But yeah, as I was saying, when I did the test playthrough of this... I guess it is doing a load every time it has to come back because it loaded the boss. When I did the test playthrough, a lot of systems you have a soft reset situation going on, and on this game, if you press, I think, all three of the face buttons and the start button, it'll take you back to the title screen. I didn't remember or know or figure while I was doing the test playthrough that stun animation you can get into when you're basically dead before he slices you into pieces, that's something you can't get out of, so I was hitting the buttons rapidly. I accidentally did that, I reset the game and went back to the title screen. That being said, I would just put in the stage select code at that point, but I'm not going to be doing that this time. At the very least, to also get the health, even though I don't think I need it. Again, you want to go in that boss with full health, if you can do it. Actually, one other thing I wanted to see, because, okay, I unlocked that before. I guess maybe it was a switch I hit that I missed this time. Again, also, by doing that, actually, I did go back and get the... Okay, no, I have 16 of these things, so yes, I did. Alright, so we're going to do the same thing as we did before, slingshots, and then when he transforms, then we're going to... Actually, no, in that case, then I can use the 6-button shortcut. You just hit the Z button. If I do that... Use the bombs first. I'm going to get him down first before I do anything, just because of that. I mean, if I die again, I'll try it again. Do it that way. That might be a better idea. Or if I can just get close enough, and then when he does that... Or do... Okay, I couldn't... I was going to try and dive down. I guess in that case, I'll try that next time, since, again, I just got sliced again. And again, it's like the only thing is going to be again just me going back to get all of the other exploding stones and then getting the extra life. Actually, in that case, me hitting the spikes is probably a good thing because then I can go and get the heart. Yeah, sometimes you get in that situation if you're hitting a ceiling like that and you can't get up. There we go. So I will use the bombs first this time, or the exploding stones as is. Well, they're bombs basically. They're bombs, they're screen nukes. They're whatever you want to call them, but they hurt badly as far as the game is concerned. There we go, so I got the gator moved back a little bit. Actually, one thing I think I am going to do, though, when I go down there, I'm going to use the boomerang on him to... Because I'm not using the boomerang, really. In fact, I haven't really used the boomerang much in this game at all. Kind of get rid of him, but I guess it didn't get rid of him that quickly. Alright, so we're going to try... Alright, we'll try that. We'll try the bomb method first. Again, because it'll cut his health down enough. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter which way I do it. If I do it first or later, I may as well. I mean, again, you're right. War of attrition is thing. And then at that point, because again, he doesn't transform until he hits about, I think, what is it? You get about 25% of his health off. So at that point, you can just keep hitting it. Yeah, I think I got him. Okay, I just got him. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so good suggestion, Proto. And then again, you're an expert on this game. You played this game a lot. You requested it, so fitting that you know exactly what to do and lead me to victory, and I appreciate that very much. I think we only have 2 levels to go. We're at the Temple to Kal, and there's one more. High five, indeed. Let me reflect that as far as I can, as far as a physical representation. There we go. Hopefully you heard that. Hopefully it didn't deafen you. Alright, back into the temple again with these Mayan guards that throw fireballs. They will go away, or they'll turn into a skeleton. But, okay, yeah, this is a part that initially when I did the test playthrough... Okay, you hit it. Perfect. Or heard it. Perfect. Okay, so when I did the test playthrough, at first a while I was saying, like, what do I have to do? Because I didn't remember. fact, I don't think I actually ever had gotten to this point until I did the test playthrough. So actually, one thing I'm going to do also is, there's not an item in the door. You have to jump here. There's kind of I guess a spring down there, or I guess a web that you can't see. So you have to go there and then hit the switch, and that unlocks. Well, that doesn't unlock this. It unlocks the door up there. At that point, also you can hit that as well. Which you let me coach him through the test play. Yeah, in my case, it was just that. As I said, I had a busy week. Again, as far as working things like that, so I didn't have a whole lot of time. And in fact, I think usually like at the end of the week, some of the things I was doing, I was so preoccupied that I had to focus on other things first. So that was like, I don't know when I'm going to be able to get that going. So that was kind of the situation to it. But it's probably better because at the very least, you're looking at this. In this case, you're not necessarily going to be shaking your head as much as far as, oh wait, I'm making a lot of little mistakes. And as I said, when I do test playthroughs for certain things, it does help for certain games, unless it's something I can go into it easily and not have a second thought to be able to do it. All right, in that case, I ran off, so that was stupid. That's a shake your head moment. But again, I've got about 5 lives. I've got about 5, 6 continues. So we are not going to be getting a game over. All right, we're not going to be getting a game over that's not going to continue. So we should be good. And we're pretty close to the end of the game. I just need to have enough slingshots for the final boss, which is, weirdly enough, easier than the last boss we just fought. At least it was for me when I played it, or at least when I did the test playthrough. So, alright, let's go through here, and... Okay, I gotta get some health because I'm getting myself hurt badly. Again, this is normal. I'm gonna assume on hard that you take more damage from things. I would have max lives and max items for the bosses, which is what I was trying to do again for the last one, which turned out working out quite well. Along with, again, sniping the enemies from a distance. If the case is I can do that. Okay, yeah, I want to be careful on hitting that because I didn't remember there was an item underneath it. Or a trap in it. Okay, I want to make sure I'm hitting that and not going into the tar pit or the tar river as it is. Oh! Okay, that was not an instant kill, but at least there's a checkpoint right there. Which, and I don't know if I mentioned this, when you look at the checkpoint, when you hit it, it does point you in the direction you need to go for where it is. And also, I think... Oh, that was close. Wow, that was, Oh, I'm gonna get the life. Oh, weirdly enough, okay, that's a... Okay, I'm losing the life, but... Yeah, I wasn't remembering if that, wall was something I could avoid or not. At least I got the sort of roll off, because I think what happens is when you hit those spike balls and you're running, you'll basically launch forward. Or I slipped as it was there, so I didn't make it. Actually, let me show one other thing off. You can also use the boomerang and the exploding stones to destroy those in one hit, by the way. Alright, also, again, using this thing with the webs to hit all of the pots up here. I don't remember what's in the other one. We'll get it. Oh, there we go. Yeah, you want to hold right on that, on the right web. Alright, so more ammo for the slingshot. Again, that seems like, yeah, with the slingshot, that tends to be what you're getting ammo for the most. But again, I guess it makes sense because it's the one that that has, I guess, oh, right, I forgot about this part. Now you can hear the Indiana Jones music. Alright, we're done. And I think we'll see that again, but, same idea. Oh. Oh, that was close. I thought I was going to be able to make that. Yeah, as was the case with before, those are one-hit kill. So again, you gotta be careful of that. Actually, one thing I will do is that I'm gonna wait until it falls down. I don't think another one comes back. Or, okay, one does come back. Okay, for a minute there, it looked like I had survived, but apparently one thing I am going to do is I'm going to grab that life down there. Wait. Okay, I was going to try and grab onto... Hold on. Oh, do I have to... Okay, I guess I have to swing onto it with my whip. I did not know that. I'm going to wait for that to go, and I'm going to see if I can't just grab that. Can I go back and get these? Okay, not like that, I can't. Also noticing there is actually a nice little bit of rotation on those platforms down there, which actually is a neat effect. I actually didn't realize that. Again, kind of the benefit of doing one of these things as well, that I can kind of stop and, again, smell the flowers as it is, and also see some of the details that are present. Yeah, that one's going to stop soon enough, but okay, that one, there we go. Yeah, that's always was a tough part when I was doing test playthrough as well, because, again, you're kind of jumping. It's not leap of faith exactly, but again, because of the way the camera is adjusting itself, you have to be pertinent on, or I guess you have to be cognizant, I should say, on where the platform is below you. And I assume maybe that's harder to do on the Super Nintendo version, although usually when it comes to like the screen resolution being smaller or tighter on Super Nintendo for stuff, it's usually more of a horizontal aspect than the vertical one. I know situations where it's been the opposite as far as the Genesis and the Super Nintendo. I remember, I think Samurai Showdown was like that on Super Nintendo. Oh, I thought there was a platform behind that. Alright, now I do want to be a little careful, because I'm on my last life, and if I get a game over here, I have to start this level over again. Not that it's going to be too bad, I hope it just continues, but I'll try to avoid it if I can. Basically just jump and whip pretty much the whole time. There's some health there at least, but I don't need it yet. I don't need it badly now. Oh! I think I'll just make this. There you go. Yeah, those guys take a lot of hits. So again, that's really kind of the challenge. Alright, where is... Okay, yeah, I just like doing that. I just think that's funny. It's funny, but it's also the kind of thing that it just... Alright, it's down there. Oh, no, it's not down there. Good thing I did that, so let me just bounce up here and go with the gold bar. Any ammo, and I think... Oh, right, this is the... Alright, I remember this part. There we go. Okay, so I think we have the final boss coming up, I believe. The Warrior Spear. Yes, this is the final boss. This is easier than the Jaguar King or the Panther King, whatever we want to call it. Yeah, I keep saying Panther King because it conquers Bad Fur Day, which I don't know if I'd be able to do here. I might be able to. Well, okay. Challenge of this boss, which doesn't have a loading screen except for what that is hit it in the head with the slingshot and use the up angle shot for that, and this should be no trouble. But again, when he grabs you, again, you're going to be in trouble. But he honestly does not do as much damage doing that as the Panther King did. Also, there is health over there if you need it, which I'm not going to use yet. Also, he will spread himself out a little bit, and that will cause... Honestly, it kind of reminds me of bosses in Gunstar Heroes, even though as far as how the way the sprites work. And actually, at some point, I do want to do Gunstar Heroes, because that game is amazing. If you've never played Gunstar Heroes, you should play it, and I definitely want to showcase it. Oh, wait! Oh, I'm out of ammo. Right, I forgot about that. If you run out of ammo, they will keep giving you slingshot rounds. What I'm going to do is I'm also going to try and see if... Yeah, the exploding stones don't do that much. I'm going to use those for the purpose of this, but then I'm going to also grab that. Actually, I don't even know how much the slingshot do. Actually, the slingshot seems like it's working the best here, aside from the pellets, or the sling bolts. I also get myself hit in the head that way. Also, I think he does, like, a little bit of a suck-in on you, as far as the fact that you're moving, and then he pulls down, but then also avoiding the, I think I'm going to get him. Unless I'm just not careful. Love Gunstar Heroes. Okay, glad to hear it. As a fan, I will definitely be doing Gunstar Heroes at some point. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, and I'm out of... Okay, I'm not out of that. Alright, finish him off with a bomb. Perfect. First try and with the L. Okay, so we are done. Or we're done with, this run, and, again, I might do the advanced version. I want to see if I can do that again. I like that concept, going back to stuff and saying, like, okay, this is a pretty good one, and then when it's not so good. So let's get his dad back, who is the, yeah, son, what took you so long? Well, it was only 2 hours, so it wasn't as bad as I thought. I thought this was going to be way worse as far as that, even with the test playthrough. Victory is yours. We might have missed something, which they are talking about those Pitfall letters. If you get all of them, from what I gather, you get a message saying, take a picture for posterity, or something like that. Yeah, Pitfall Harry Sr. is the Atari 2600 Pitfall Harry, whereas his son looks a lot nicer, and I love that attention to detail. Okay, so, and we finished pretty good as far as score-wise, although again, I got reset when I got a couple of game overs. 264,340 points. And then we get a little bit of an ending with him walking, sort of, and then a credit sequence that is actually surprisingly long for a game of this time. But that is Pitfall, the Mayan Adventure, recommended to me by Proto-Rova. I greatly appreciate the request. And I had a lot of fun doing this. This actually was... Okay, this is also the indication where they built this off the Genesis and then updated it. Because they did Genesis code and then the conversion to the CD unit. But yeah, I appreciate the suggestion for this game. I've been curious about doing it. I hope I entertained you as far as it. And again, I had some other people who have some acknowledgement and interest in the Pitfall games, particularly this on other systems, which made it a very enlightening experience for me. On top of being able to play this game, which, again, I'll say this, when I did the test playthrough the other game, at first I felt totally exhausted. I felt like I didn't go through this game particularly well. I felt like I had been, getting cheap hits and things. I felt like I didn't necessarily feel as satisfied with it, and that's even though I got more letters of the Pitfall letters out of it than I did playing it now. But honestly, playing it again, maybe because it's more fresh in my mind, I do like it a bit more. I mean, I don't think this is a bad game. I think it's a pretty good game still. I mean, it has some elements to it you could say are not great, but still, it does have a nice identity to itself, particularly compared to the original Pitfall game and the other games that came before it in the franchise, and also other games of this type. And it does feel like an interesting product of 1994 in terms of game aspects and the way they were going for the industry and presentation and animation. But it also has its own identity that kind of makes it stand out. And I think, from what I'm gathering, and correct me if you don't think this is right, aside from the 2600 version of the first one on the 2600, I don't think there's been another Pitfall game that's been this, well remembered. To my degree, to be fair, the 2D sprite arts was well polished for the time, and they were. And again, I still think it looks pretty good as far as the way the animation's working. And that's, again, a unique thing for a lot of games this time. Actually, I guess another game from '94, Mickey Mania, did this. Again, another one that was using movie studio animators working on the game. And again, you could tell that. And again, even for all the things you could put to this game, there's clearly a passion and a love for it from Activision. I guess one thing I can also go into, because we've got a little bit of time for this thing, it's like a 6-minute. Croyer Films did the animation for this and did a really good job. Yeah, with Bill Croyer, who, again, directed that film, Technological Threat. It was an Oscar short subject nominee for 1988. It was released in 1988 and was up for 1989. But, yeah, for that time, for 96, or 94, I should say, other games like Mickey Mania and The Lion King and Donkey Kong Country and this one that were really kind of pushing the idea of what animation could be doing in games, and then kind of taking it, and also Activision at the time, which was coming off of some kind of hit and miss success on the NES, and then what were they going to do for their next thing? And now, obviously, the rest has been history in a sense after this, and with some of the other stuff they had, like Mech Warrior 3, where then they became a huge company. And when Tony Hawk's Pro Skater came out, that really shot them into the stratosphere. And now they have, stuff like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon and all the stuff with Blizzards, which went into last week as far as the BlizzCon announcements that came out of that. So, yeah, I mean, I guess in that way, it's almost like a reflection of Activision. And they went back to what they knew from when they started back in the 1980s and then kind of pushing them forward, and now they're a pretty big name. Apparently, this takes place after Pitfall 2. Yeah, Pitfall 2, The Lost Cavern, which was also on the 2600. I have that within the Activision anthology for the PlayStation 2, which at some point I do want to go to and show off. The one thing about that I need to make sure is I just have to turn off the music because there's licensed music, and I guess I wanted to go into that because I mentioned last week there's Sound Deluxe Media Labs who worked with the audio for this, but I want to go back to that because I mentioned with Rock and Roll Racing being re-released in the Blizzard Arcade collection. Apparently there's a big crackdown on that game even if you're using the original 8 or 16-bit audio for streaming that. So even Blizzard's coming out and saying, don't play that game this way, turn off the audio. I'm like, okay. I was like, okay, because there's a special edition version or a special version of the game within that gives you like the full recording. So okay, I get that one. Special thanks to the Atari 2600 for sure, which gave us the first one, and the port in this, and David Crane, who made the first one. But then as far as the audio, I was saying, they're like, yeah, just turn this down. I'm like, even for the 16-bit version, like, well, they're still kind of concerned. My hamster. Yeah, okay, so we'll thank his hamster. The warrior spirit is named Zakalua, according to Wikipedia. Okay. And the Mayan civilization, which again goes to the idea that they're doing that kind of research as far as, I guess, trying to get a reflection of something like that. It kind of reminds me of other games that have done that I'm aware of. Like, I know a lot of the Age of Empires games have done that, particularly when the expansion pack for 2 came out and had the Mayan as a element. To be continued. This is being continued, by the way, in Beyond the Jungle for the PlayStation. It came out in 1998. Took the franchise into 3D and had Bruce Campbell of Evil Dead fame and Spider-Man fame voicing Pitfall Harry. I hear it's not that great, but it's also supposed to be really cheap, so it might be something to look into. And again, same with Pitfall 2, which I have, Pitfall 1, which we sort of showed off. And then I guess as far as like the licensed music thing, just quickly go back to that. Yeah, I'll have to be a little careful as far as that. But again, even like for like chiptune takes on it. But we'll see how that goes for certain things. But that being said, there still is going to be a lot of stuff I can go through and some things I can do, and some ways around. Like I mentioned, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, as far as it being an Activision property, and feasibly for being able to show that to you, I wanted to kind of at some point, I mentioned the idea of like bad translations to the Game Boy Advance, but Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 was the furthest thing from that. If you've never played Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 for the Game Boy Advance, it's a terrific translation, even though you have to be in literal direct sunlight if you're playing on an original Advance unit, or playing on we would be playing it, or anything from the Game Boy Advance within the Game Boy player for the GameCube. And we switch cartridges on the fly, so we like do like a little bit of a I guess a gaming buffet, if you will, for that. Actually, that might be an idea as far as something like that, or in that case, just to represent Tony Hawk's Pro Skater that way, or just turn the music off of 1 and 2 on the Xbox One, which actually is now getting a Switch port, which is really nice to see that that's happening, and also coming to PS5 and Series X, if you've been lucky enough to get one of those systems. Okay, so again, we got the demo running, so that is Pitfall Mine Adventure. I guess my final thoughts on it are that it's a game that I think I'm appreciating maybe even more, especially off of playing it again a few days ago, but also playing it now and having a little more success. I enjoyed the discussion, the comparisons of the different versions, the explanations of my memories with this game, which really is mostly just me having played the Genesis version first, then getting this version, or being given this version very graciously, and it's a pretty pristine copy, which you don't always get as far as Sega CD releases. Have you all thought about Top Gear? From Kemco, which versions, because there's a lot of versions of Top Gear that I could do. We could make fun of the tutorial player, that's true too. Yeah, as far as Top Gear, there's a lot of different Top Gear games I could do. I know there were a couple on the Super Nintendo. I know there were... Actually, I have Top Gear Overdrive on the Nintendo 64. I could do that one. In fact, yeah, that's a good idea. Because I haven't really gone into racing games that much. I don't know how I would do as far as like a completion situation, but, Super Nintendo. I'm pretty sure that Super Nintendo version probably doesn't cost much. Hopefully it doesn't cost much. I'm always worried about that when it comes to Super Nintendo, but again, of the Top Gear games I have, the one I own right now is Overdrive on Nintendo 64, which came out in 1998. That being said, I would love to go back to like the NES. I mean, would it be what? Top Gear? I know there's Top Gear 3000, and then on other systems there was Top Gear Rally on Nintendo 64, which I remember not liking very much. And its music is extremely depressing, actually. In fact, I was a little bit of a disclosure thing. I was going through a little bit of personal trauma of sorts at the time, and playing that game and its very depressing music did not help. Overdrive, which I like more, which is more of an arcadey aspect. There's Top Gear Rally 2 on the 64. There was also a couple on the Game Boy Color, I believe. There was the Top Gear Pocket games. And there was the one on the Game Boy Advance, which I hear is amazing. And outside of that, really, that was about it. But, yeah, I mean, I'd love to do that, and I'd love to also think about... Because I've been thinking about this a little bit, too. I mean, I've been thinking a lot of things. Got a lot of games we could play, a lot of games we could show off. I mean, like, how would I handle a racing game? Because I don't think I've actually done many. So I'm thinking, well, how do I handle that? Maybe for some of the more retro stuff, it'd be easier to handle for maybe their short length, but also for how I would want to show that. But yeah, that's a great suggestion. So I will definitely take that into account. I'll see what I can do as far as looking into obtaining the Super Nintendo game and also perhaps showing off Top Gear Overdrive at some point. I mean, Top Gear Overdrive is another situation, actually, I would usually bring up with Pitfall, where you really got a pretty high quality of its audio and its music, especially coming out of the system that it was on, which was Nintendo 64. And it sounds, you have like real instrument music going on with that, and it sounds really great. A little muffled, but still sounds really nice. And even some of the other aspects, and a good usage of the expansion pack to show off some of the graphical aspects of that one too. So yeah, okay, that's a great suggestion. I will take that into account and look into it and keep you updated. All right, so with that, I think we're going to call it then for tonight. And then also, as I mentioned before, I'm still looking into figuring out what I'm going to be doing as far as uploading of these episodes of mine to another location for future posterity. Particularly like to YouTube or something, but I have to look into that a little more. I need to also, when I sign off, I'm actually going to have a little bit of a pause before I hit that end stream button so it doesn't go into a situation where it stops before I stop talking and say, like, take care. I'm not saying take care now, but like that as an example. So, okay, so with that, that's Pitfall the Mind Adventure. Had a fun time liking this game a bit more from playing it, loving the experience that I had playing it and talking with all of you on this. Thank you very much for watching. Next week, we're going to go back to Metal Gear Solid. Just to reiterate all the stuff I have on my schedule, we're doing Metal Gear Solid next week. We're going to finish it. I think it'll be about 4 or 5 hours, so they'll be maybe a little longer, but I think that's going to be a good one. I've enjoyed that playthrough immensely. I'm going to love seeing the rest of that. Disc 2 is set. We're all good. It's not going to break anymore. It's been rebuffed. We're all set with the disc, so good on that. Then the week after that, we have Knuckles... Knuckles Chaos was last week. This week we have... Or next week is Metal Gear Solid. Week after that is Sonic Fighters and Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Then Slam City with Scottie Pippen. And then Katamari Damacy Reroll. And then Star Fox 64. And then the next Super Sonic Game Saturday, which I'll reveal in 2 weeks. And looking forward to Metal Gear Solid 2, as am I. I'm looking forward to all these games. I'm liking your suggestions. I'm liking the other things. I think that when it comes to this channel, this little thing I do, I like the format of it. I like that I'm getting people wanting to watch. People are curious about what I have to say, curious about the games to see, wanting to get involved in discussion, being fully interested as far as that. And I really appreciate that. And I can't thank you enough for it. And I do like how this is going, and I'll keep it going all year. So, all year, but just in general, I just like this as like a permanent sort of thing, because I was even talking to my girlfriend. She wants to get involved in this too, with some aspects personally, but also some certain games I mentioned. Like, when I do Mega Man X3, she's going to be with me, because that's a favorite of hers, and she has a copy of that game. So, that'll be way down the road, though. But, okay, so next week, we're going to have Metal Gear Solid. It'll be here at the same time as it is this week, and every week at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So with that, I'm going to bid you all a good night. Take care. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next week with the finale of Metal Gear Solid.